Who made this quilt thing?
Faith.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh, are we already live?
We are already live.
Oh, shit.
Welcome.
Let me go tweet this madness. It says we only have one viewer. Let me make sure it's actually public. Posting feeds and all that. Last time we launched and, what was this? Check the audio as well. How long does it take before it says? First, hello Anonymous.
Hey, I remember that name.
Yeah, he's been a long time viewer. I love YouTube now. I don't know if there's any way for you guys to look at this, but for me, when I'm in my comments like back room, when I'm in YouTube Studio looking at comments, it will now show a little button next to people's name, like a little YouTube play button that when you highlight it, it tells you how many years they've been subscribed. If they've been subscribed for like, I think it's like 2 years at least, basically. So it's really interesting to see, because there's plenty of subscribers whose names are very recognizable, who've commented on tons of videos, who like I would know immediately on sight. There's obviously people I've met like Landon or Parusaru, who were both watching the stream last time. But when you actually see the little icon and it like tells you exactly how long this person's been commenting, then it starts getting you thinking like, man, do I remember all this person? Like, you know, we try to structure, and like a lot of the people will change massively over the years, you know, that they have been a commenter but are still consuming your stuff. So it can be really interesting to see how people's like, you know, you can almost like Dark Souls characters, you can watch commenters like go through these little character arcs that you're barely peeking into over the years as you get tiny glimpses into who they are through their comments. Well, hello to Cyber Rain. Second asks critical quality, not quite. Almost. Aaron Harris says hello. Go Toes with lol. Mapu. Out of curiosity, will you be talking about many Bloodborne spoilers in future Elden Ring vids? You mentioned a Bloodborne ending in the first app, which caught me off guard. Had to yank my headphones out. Lol. I'll try to avoid it, since you're concerned about it. I didn't realize there were people, you know, worried about Bloodborne spoilers. I know Bird here probably has played a little bit of Bloodborne and watched a bunch of spoilers just because you
Well, I'm not good at these games. I don't know if that's clear from me playing them.
And it's also, spoilers can be motivating if you don't think you will play it until you find out something cool about it, which there's been tons of media that I didn't take any interest in until I heard about a spoiler. Sometimes there are certain stories that I know have something that is supposed to happen that would be a big spoiler, and I've somehow managed to avoid what it actually is. Shadowstar Narutaru is a good example of this. I know some really fucked up dark shit happens in the story, never got that far into it, still have managed to go unspoiled, even though I've put off reading the rest of it for like 15 years. But you know, sometimes it's like you hear about some crazy shit that happens and you're like, oh, well, if I had known, you know, that was gonna happen, of course I would have tried to see it. And like, I got the feeling that when you started playing this game, you were immediately like, I need the motivation. Like, I need to know what the lore is so I can give enough of a fuck to want to fight through this, and, you know, see these cool bosses. Because the game really does give you very little to go on at the start. It gives you much more once you actually beat Godric, and then like there's what's his name, Gideon Ofnir, the All-Knowing, will just like tell you about
everything.
Every other boss. He's like, here's who you're trying to kill, here's generally where they are, like, you know, it's like suddenly the game just decides, okay, you've proven yourself capable of figuring things out to the extent that we'll let you in on what the fuck is going on. But yeah, Bloodborne story, I mean, you know, I wouldn't expect to understand the story on your first playthrough. And the ending I described in the last video, there's almost no chance you would get unless you were making a concerted effort knowing how to get it. It's like the hardest ending to get. But yeah, nonetheless, it's, you know, these games are convoluted as shit, and nobody has fully parsed what the hell is going on in any of them. Particularly Bloodborne is, I guess, considered the most, like, vague about what's actually happening. This game is probably the most direct. Like, it's that what happened is like, it's unclear what the meaning of, like, this game is all about the shattering, and like the shattering is both the literal shattering of a ring that was like the ring of power that held everything together, basically, like gave harmony to the world or something, and the shattering of that ring led to a series of wars which are also referred to as the shattering, and like, just, you'll be reminded of those facts over and over again. So the game wants you to be very clear about like what matters in its lore, what caused all of this, why it's happening, but not necessarily like, okay, but what the hell is the Elden Ring? You know, like that's where you get into the, okay, well, this is very speculative to even try to parse what the hell it really does, literally, other than fuck up the world really badly when shattered, you know? I think that's part of the intrigue of solving these games' lore, but yeah, I also don't think the developers expect you to go into these games without watching videos about them on the internet. Like, I think the fact that like the community aspect of the game is so heavily coded into it that, like, you know, it's meant to be played with other people and with the group experience, and it is fun to go through a first time and just kind of like take it on blind and be like, what the fuck is going on? But like, it's really hard to spoil yourself for everything in this game. Like, I've found stuff that I had never seen mentioned in any videos that I was just like, wow, how did this not get talked about? But it's because a lot of people are trying to avoid spoilers, and like, you know, I've kind of been writing my video series from the perspective of like, you're taking this journey with me, so you're only going to be as spoiled as, you know, as I am, in the order that I am spoiled, you know, like as I go along my journey. And so it's really up to you to kind of determine if you want to have had your own journey before you take it with me, or if you want to know 100% of the game somehow, like, before even consuming it. Even people who've beaten the game multiple times have told me that they learned things from my videos, where I've only played through, like, the fucking starting area, you know? So, it's nuts how much there is in this goddamn game. Go back through the chat a little bit. YGSR, I kept using Bloodhound's Fang until the very end of the game, lol. I've been meaning to, like, I think I don't have enough dex to use this weapon, which is the reason I haven't on my character, but it does look fucking sick, and I have an arcane build that's all based around bleed. And now that I'm seeing how big it is, like, because I expected it to look smaller, but now I'm seeing you use it, and I'm like, wow, that's almost as big as my bastard sword, so that might be even more worth looking into. But I've got a +10 bastard sword, and it rips pretty fucking hard through a lot of the enemies at the stage I'm at, which is Raya Lucaria Academy. I'm not as far in as Bird here.
I'm in Liurnia right now.
I have never seen this boss.
This is in Caria Manor.
Yeah, Caria Manor is too scary for me right now. You have a much larger health bar than I do currently, and you've also just recently respec'd.
That is true.
So you put 40 into vigor, and I don't know what else exactly. We'll find out after this fight. I read through my own comic history for the past 3 years, and that's gonna be a big yikes for me, says Anand Evis. That's really funny. I mean, I've done that to myself before too. Yeah.
Ah, damn.
If I find something that's like more than 2 years old, created by me, that I still like, that's how I know that it must have been like legitimately good. Like a lot of the videos that I still have up on the channel, like, you know, most of what is still available that I made before last year, basically, is stuff that I could still vouch for. Like, I rewatched it and I went, wow, that was well written to at least enough of an extent that I don't, like, wholly disagree with it, you know, or think it's not entertaining just to listen to based on, like, how, you know, there might be, like, parts here and there that I would have changed or rewritten or taken out or would have added in or whatever, but, you know, a lot of stuff, I'm just like, yeah, I wouldn't want to have released this today, you know? I feel like the game doesn't really give much reason to swap out weapons. It really depends on what kind of move set you want. I think this game is much more expressive than the other ones in that there's lots of good weapons. Like, because the thing about Dark Souls was that there was shit tons of weapons. Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2. They both had, like, a shit ton of weapons, but most of them sucked or were gimmicky or were just there for you to, like, you know, to do something really specific. And that was fun for people who were, like, playing the game over and over and over again to experiment with. But, like, you know, for someone like me, it was like, I'm just gonna stick to the big fucking sword that kills everything easily. And in Dark Souls 3, there was, like, more expression and variety like there is in this game, but the strength builds were just so OP for dealing with the main quest line. And I think it's because there was less movement. You know, like, Bloodborne, Sekiro, and this game all necessitate more active dodging and moving around than Dark Souls 3 did, where you could really just get up on an enemy and whack them until they're fucking dead. Not that you can't do that on plenty of bosses in this, but, you know, and again, you can play with just big sword, whack them to death build in this game, but there's lots of other builds that are, like, equally viable, more fun to play, and, like, the bubbles. I love watching the bubbles.
The bubbles are really cool.
The bubbles are great. Just blow bubbles at enemies until they're dead, and team up with your friends and bubble gang NPCs, or, and other player characters, rather. Invaders. I highly recommend, if you've played enough of this game that you're not concerned about spoilers, to watch lots of YouTube videos about it, because, like, to me, as somebody who was already considering Dark Souls my favorite video game long before I beat it, like, that was because I learned so much about the robustness of the game from watching other people's playthroughs and just, like, the sheer crazy game-breaking shit you can do. And obviously there's been enough time with this game out now that, you know, people are doing the can you beat the entire game with just punching enemies playthroughs, and, you know, the 23-minute world record speed run, I think it is.
It's 28, I think. But
yeah, it keeps going down, but it's just because they keep finding more glitches and, like, quick ways to jump across large stretches of environment and stuff like that. Lots of stuff that will probably eventually be patched out and, you know, invalidate those times for, you know, or lock them to specific patch versions. I don't know how the speedrunning community accounts for all that, but I'm sure they do. Anyway, Critical Quality says, I haven't commented much over the years, but been here for quite a bit of the ride. Always happy to see you still making content, Trixie. Thank you. I'm always happy to find myself having made content. I hope you all enjoyed the new video about my dress-up darling. How it is beautifully basic. I just kind of, like, realized that the show had just ended like 3 days ago, and that it was basically the only show last season that wasn't a sequel that anybody watched, but a lot of fucking people watched it. So I was like, it was brought up by a couple of people when I asked on Twitter, like, what anime needs to be torn apart by me. And as soon as people brought it up, I was like, I know I'm not going to tear this show apart. Like, it's just based on, like, the visuals and the fact that it has like a 8.5 on Mal, I know there has to be something salvageable about this thing. It can't just be a complete train wreck. And yeah, I thought it was mostly pretty good. Like, it's not necessarily my type of show, but I think if I had watched it when I was like 16 or 17, I would have probably thought it was like a 8 or 9 out of 10, and you know, potentially considered it a favorite. But watching it as an adult, the characters just feel very young and too perfect. So it's like it just kind of feels like, this is for, you know, this is for teenagers, and it's cute, and I think it's not an unhealthy thing for a teenager to watch. So overall, props. But yeah, 6 out of 10. I just re-summarized my own video, I guess, but...
Oh god, they got more spells. She, I guess, her name is Loretta. God, this is so much worse.
Male Loretta.
I guess that's fair.
Clear Quartz says... Oh wait. Mopu said, I think the cool motivating spoilers should probably only be spoken if solicited. That's fun. Clear Quartz says, I'm like that, I only care if I know something interesting about the thing. Yeah. Which says, I still have a Shadowstar Naruto DVD that I've never watched on my shelf at my mom's house. Lol. Yeah, that's one of those just... Because I know the anime is, like, incomplete. So I'd rather read the manga. But the manga was never fully released in English. I had the first 2 volumes from Dark Horse before I realized that they had only done, like, 8 out of 13 or something like that. So... yeah, you'd have to read scanslations to get the whole thing. And I was like, I wanted to read it in a book. Cyber says Sekiro is fairly direct as well. Yeah, Sekiro is definitely the most direct. Even more so than this game. Because that one's like just kind of telling a cinematic story straightforwardly that, you know, that's just like broken up by gameplay. It's much more like a regular video game in that regard. Like... you get to a cutscene and the story continues, and you're like, oh, wow, like, I don't really have to... I mean, there's still a lot of vagaries and stuff and lore, especially with the bosses, but, and like, stuff that's open to interpretation, but it's definitely a lot easier to tell, like, who you are, what your motivations are, what's going on in the world, who's the bad guy, you know, lots of stuff that's deliberately obfuscated in these games. And often it's because of the fact that the story they're telling is more nuanced and can't really be so easily communicated through, like, that kind of straightforward nature, because you kind of decide who you're working for and what the point is. Like, this game has 6 endings, Elden Ring, and they can be very different from one another, so... yeah. The lore around Godwin and Stormvale Castle hooked you, says Reg N28. I haven't really looked into it yet. I've been meaning to because I cleared Stormvale Castle. The thing about these games is that, like, I kind of feel like I have to have beaten the whole game before I can really even start looking into the lore, because most of the storylines tend to be kind of backloaded. Like, you really learn what a character is about towards the end of their storylines usually, so, like, granted, you know, I've already killed Godwin, but...
Godric,
rather. There's so many damn god names in this game.
you haven't even seen all of them yet.
No, I haven't. I've killed Godric the Grafted, and I fought Renala a couple times last night and got my ass kicked in her final phase with all the summons and everything. The themes are just about destiny and preventing it, hence why you follow the guidance of grace and the bosses want to stop you. I think that's definitely a part of it. Spoiler alert, Elden Ring is Luke's father. Any way to turn up your audio a little? Yes. I should probably face the mic more towards me because I keep looking away to read chat. But I can also turn us up in general. I don't want to turn up the recording volume too loud because then the computer volume, the computer fan will be very loud. Happy International Trans Day of Visibility.
Even though we're not on video.
Yeah, we're not on video, so I'm not extremely visible. I did go to the grocery store today, and
How
so,
visible of you?
I was very visible because I'm wearing a bright red shirt. There's got to be some way I could send a picture of myself to the
You could tweet it.
Well, I don't want to do that because that wouldn't. I only want to show it to the chat here, the people.
I understand.
Who are here. Whatever. I'm wearing a very bright red shirt, a long sleeve.
If only there were some sort of way your fans could see pictures of you.
And only them.
For a small fee.
Yeah. Anyway, from what I've seen, this game really leaned into the roleplay aspect in the best way. Yeah, I agree. I think this one has felt the most to me like it was open to doing whatever you want without, like, having to be insanely amazing at it first to do so.
Look at me. I'm not amazing at it, is my point. Don't literally watch me playing. I'm not amazing.
Do literally watch you play though, because we're in the stream, and that's what it's about. Olivier Monin says, just fought mode with 2 sorcerer players. Morgan decided not to move. He died in 10 seconds. Lol. There's some glitches with certain bosses. In this
so
game.
you can I can tell you how to do that one actually. I don't know if they did it or if it was just a coincidence.
Let's not give anybody the wrong
There's videos on YouTube.
Sometimes when you learn how to do something, it's hard to stop yourself from doing it because you're like, well, I know I can do that. Because that's kind of how it was for me with the dragon and Kaelid, where like just because I got teleported there and I knew that it was there, and I went, okay, well, I might as well go do that, you know. But I would not have thought to if I had never heard. I'm trying to be vague about it so I don't give anybody else the wrong idea. Give them too much information.
Ah, damn.
Been catching up on One Piece recently and reading To Love Ru manga. I read like 60 chapters of that one night, and it was okay. And then just got really tiring after a while. But I know that after it switched magazines, it got like much more pornographic. The To Love Ru porn. Anybody who's ever drawn To Love Ru pornography, it's always really well done. I think it's just, I don't know what it is about the character designs that inspires people to be like,
yeah, I'm gonna draw this porn well.
I'm gonna draw a lot of really good pornography of this manga. But it's probably just like the attention to detail that the author had in the first place in like just how he draws bodies that inspired it. Let's see. Hello, kind souls, says Masterpiece. Hello. The Sweet Life of Dio Brando. In terms of games playing Disgaea 3, it is very funny. I liked the first Disgaea aesthetically, and I really wanted to fall in love with that game back when I was a teenager. But I think I was unprepared for how little story it had. That, like, it's mostly just these, like, goofy banter interactions that don't really progress things. And the characters are really hard to relate to because they're all just asshole demons who, like, really don't give a fuck about, like, you know, everyone in those games is, like, a complete sociopath. So it's just kind of a bunch of wacky madness and in-depth tactics that, like, you know, particularly at the age I was when I played these games, like, I was coming to RPGs for story. I was like, I'm here to watch an anime in video game form. And that's why, like, Tales of was perfect for me, where, like, the gameplay is extremely simple and fun and flashy, and the story is long. Whereas Disgaea is like, the further in you get, the longer you're going to be playing these tactical matches, and then to get like 2 minutes of just like goofy dialogue afterwards was not enough to carry me through. And my friends who were big into Disgaea didn't seem to like the characters as much in like the later games. It seemed like the impression was basically that like the first one had the most memorable characters, and that after that it was like, well, you play these games if you really want to play the tactics, you know. But that's just the impression I heard from people around me. So maybe they're all wrong. Umbrina Z asks, how's it going?
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's doing all right. I woke up kind of late today, so haven't really been up for very long. It was like 12. I guess it's 5:30 now, so it has. It wasn't that little time ago. I didn't realize how late it had gotten. But Santiago Gonzalez says, "Did you see?" Oh god damn it! I scrolled and it moved. Did you see the Data Mind 7th ending?
I did see that it had been found. I didn't see anything about it, but I am curious.
I haven't looked into that. Cyberrain asks, other than Ergo Proxy, what would you say is the most pretentious anime ever made? Oh man, I mean, I don't think I'd really use that term to describe anything anymore, including Ergo Proxy. I don't think it's necessarily pretending to be anything. It just is what it is. I think that phrase, it was very popular in the 2000s to call things pretentious as a way of suggesting that it thinks it's smarter than it is, or that it thinks it's deeper than it is. And I think it's usually used because people don't get what the thing is trying to say, or aren't interested in what it's trying to say, and are like basically like accusing this thing of trying to trying to have a message in place of having something interesting, like a compelling story. And I don't think Ergo Proxy was like to me it seemed like, oh, you're loading all these names of philosophers in here and shit, like you're trying to say something deep. I actually don't think that was the point. I think it was more I think that the show is probably more of a fun thing for the people making it. Like, I don't think it was trying to be deep. I think it's just making references to things that the creators are interested in, that, that if you don't know about, and therefore you have to research it to understand what the fuck they're talking about, then yeah, it makes it seem like, why did I have to look into all this shit when it doesn't even have anything really to say about it? And the answer is, you're not supposed to look into that shit. You're just supposed to already know this stuff, and that's why you're interested in the show, Like, if you just get what's funny about the way it's using those philosopher references, without having to research it, or if you're into the show and you're doing the research because you want to understand it better, but like you're mystified by it and like it gets you into that stuff, that would be, a different story. But for me, it was just like, at the time that I watched it back in like 2014, when I wrote a video about it, I was like, just like basically baffled by a lot of the decisions it made, because I wasn't really picking up on the themes or like relating to them, and I wasn't enjoying the experience of watching the show. So I saw it as like, oh, this is something you really have to like dig into to appreciate, and that's pretentious. And I don't think that was the intent. I don't think the show wanted you to dig into it. I think it wanted you to just be somebody who would get it in the first place. And I think that's pretty much every show, like I think I, as a creator, had this impression that like that a work is better if you can dig into it deeply, but I had mistakenly thought that in order to achieve that effect, an author has to intentionally make the thing like obtuse, like even the Souls games, like to some extent they are being made deliberately obtuse because Miyazaki was inspired by the fact that he would like read books in English that he couldn't fully understand and use the illustrations to kind of fill in the details of it in his imagination. And so he wanted to replicate that by like not giving you all the information, just giving you enough to go on that you could use your imagination to fill in the blanks. But like that, you know, the reason the stories still connect with people is that if you do actually, you know, go down a character's quest line, the stories are compelling and direct and easy to understand, and they're not like, you know, they don't require interpretation on every level necessarily. Some of them do. Some of them are more like, you know, the stuff that gets talked about in like a Vadi Vidya Prepare to Cry video. The reason it works so well is that when you put all the pieces together, you have a really fucking dramatic story, you know? And so, like, there are people who I think would look at a game like this and call it pretentious because of the fact that you have to do some research to, you know, or really give your all to the game in order to understand what the hell the story is. But like, you know, it's not the intention of the game for you to not understand the story, you know, if that makes sense. It does want you to understand it, but like it's catering to a type of person who is going to find this type of story more inviting than one that, while direct, is not relatable to them, you know? A game like The Last of Us that has like very compelling direction and narrative and storytelling didn't really connect with me. I don't really relate to the world and characters and the themes of the story. So like, even though I can appreciate how well crafted it is, like, it's not as meaningful to me as a story like this one, where it's built the story itself is built around the way that I want to play the game, if that makes sense, or that I want to play a game. So like, it's very rewarding to have a story that's built around like an engagement style that the developers predicted some people would have, you know. So like, even when I look at something like Ergo Proxy, I see it as being like a Dark Souls of anime, not in the way that it's difficult and pretentious to understand what's happening, but in that like it's only going to appeal to people who look at it and immediately go like, I can't wait to explore this, you know. And that just wasn't me, at least not past the first couple episodes. And you know, I was mostly attracted to the show's aesthetic. I wasn't really that interested in the particulars of its narrative or anything like that. I just thought it looked really fucking cool. And so when it stopped looking really fucking cool, I was kind of lost. So, like, do I think there are anime writers who think that they are, like, deeper and smarter than they are? Yes. The answer would be To Ubukata, the guy who wrote Psycho Pass Season 2, Marduk Scramble, the original book. He is somebody who, like, overloads his stories with symbolism, and like, deliberately tries to create mystery by, like, just not revealing information to you in a way that is deeply frustrating. And, like, the reason that I would call that pretentious is that there's not like a huge faction of people who love To Ubukata stories and are like big fans of this guy and would go to bat to defend his writing. He's one of those guys whose works are like popular but not well remembered. You know, like, in the moment he can create something that has enough appearance of being like a good story that it will succeed. But none of them are classics, none of them are beloved, and on scrutiny, they all fall apart. Actually, if there's anybody who I should probably dedicate myself to just shitting on their stories, it would be To Ubukata. He's just recently been in the news because a voice actress was uncomfortable working on a show that he's writing, because he allegedly assaulted his wife. a few years back.
Whoop.
I generally don't like that guy. I think he's a very bad writer and
I would
probably
say,
a bad person.
based on what I know about him and based on Psychopath Season 2, he should not be writing anime.
No. And I know more about him than almost anybody else in English because I've read a bunch of his fucking... he used to write a segment for a New Type magazine where he just wrote like daily life journal type stuff, similar to like my kind of vlogs. Or even more to like my Substack articles actually, but like it was him, one of the members of Clamp, and two other people who would write in each issue, and for like a certain stretch of years, and his editorials also make him seem like kind of a prick. So yeah, like I've experienced enough of the guy's writing that I do think he's a pretentious asshole. And it's like, I can't call a show pretentious. I can call a person pretentious. You know, like, Psychopaths 2 isn't pretentious. It's terrible. It's ridiculous, and no one takes it seriously. But Tou Ubukata is pretentious. So hopefully that answers that. That wasn't even a rant request. I didn't even get super chatted for that. You just basically managed to get a full-blown rant out of me just by inspiration. But I do think I just, you know, I'm glad you reminded me somehow of Tou Ubukata and how I need to focus my laser on that guy.
Well, you know what they say. It takes toe to tango.
Because he ruined Psychopaths and Ghost in the Shell. Because he wrote Ghost in the Shell Arise, which was the first, like, really shitty Ghost in the Shell, in my opinion. A lot of people consider it, like, okay or good. I think it was horrifically mediocre. And I've never seen Les Chevaliers d'Eon, which was, like, the first anime he wrote that... Like, at the time, I remember having critical acclaim because it was really pretty and written by Production IG, but every review was like, it's very slow and very, like, boring. And so I didn't watch it, and I've never, ever heard an anime fan talk about it. Like, I've seen plenty of magazines advertising it back in the 2000s. Never in my fucking life have I once seen a discussion of Les Chevaliers d'Eon. 26 episode gorgeous Production IG show. You'd think people would still be talking about it, but I'd have to see it to find out if it's shit. Alright, let me continue looking at this chat. To Love Roo still gets awesome dojins. I know, I don't know how it's possible. I liked Ergo Proxy. I didn't think it was very pretentious, a bit lore heavy. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I think I just, like, zoned out when it started getting into the lore and, like, I don't know. I like straightforward poppy presentation of information, you know? Even though I like stories with lots of imagination, but I don't necessarily feel like if something's telling me, oh, you have to learn a whole bunch of shit, like, and you know, remember all these names and parse all this stuff, I'll just start, like, zoning out at some point. Unless, like, you know, that's why even with Elden Ring, I said, like, I want to beat the whole game before I even really start trying to learn the lore, because, like, when I watch the opening cutscene, it's just a bunch of fucking names.
The foul dung eater.
Yeah, like, that name kind of wakes you up at the end. You're like, wait, did he just say something about a guy who eats poo? Like, I didn't even fucking catch that the first time. I was so, like, checked out by that point of just, all right, here's 25 names of people I know nothing about. Other than that, they eat poo and know a lot of stuff.
He doesn't eat poo. That's just what they call him.
You don't know that.
I'm pretty sure.
He might eat poo. Okay, let me go back. Let's see. Where are we here? There's a lot of...
Where do we go now? Where do we go?
I'm gonna try to read all of this quickly. I'm liking that new anime on Netflix about Japanese bathhouses. Is that Thermaroma? Because I know there's a new Thermaroma season coming out. Probably not. You're probably talking about, like, a live action documentary or something. Disgaea 5 had the worst cast, but the gameplay was great. Who else here is tarnished plus maidenless? Everyone. That's the world we live in. Most pretentious Shinsekai Yori. I mean, I guess if I had to pick something, Umbrina Z. Been watching you for years, haven't so much recently. Came here from watching your video you uploaded today on my Dress Up Darling. Glad to see you're here and well. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. I am glad that that video is being enjoyed by people. Let me get this microphone closer to me. You're way over there.
Too much clickiness.
In video game world. Meguka007, what do you think about Hazel's content and her newest vid? I like it a lot. I am a patron of Hazel because I think content's great. And
my eyes are hazel.
I haven't seen the whole new video yet. I was like 50 minutes in and then I had to go do something. But it's nice. I really like the approach she takes to video making because and basically the reason I became a patron is because the only way that the type of videos that she's doing will be sustainable is if she has a Patreon, because it's like these ridiculously massive projects that are all like very spur of the mind. And the approach that she seems to take to consuming media is very similar to myself in a way that makes me feel like, wow, like I wish I had thought to do videos like this, because you know, that sporadic, like, I'm just going to look into a whole bunch of stuff and follow this train of thought, and I'm not so concerned about, like, completing all this stuff or having, like, an opinion on it in a review. I just want to, like, know what the hell it is, and, you know, like, categorically just experience all these weird aesthetics and styles and stuff, and, like, I can return to it later if I really decide I need more of it, but, like, it's about just getting in there and getting the information, you know, and it can be really difficult to find a like sensical through line to explore things that way. And the fact that like she could make a video that's like 80 minutes and it's just the anime countryside, and I'm like, okay, so this is going to be about every anime ever, and that's exactly like what it is. With, you know, focusing in on certain shows that it's like, okay, well, you know, we got to talk about Yuru Camp, we got to talk about Nan Biori, and, you know, you really get the sense that basically she just watched each thing to the end of her interest in it, and then created a video at the end of her interest in that entire subject, and then, like, put a bow on it and ships it, you know, and, like, so yeah, I really appreciate the content style, and you know, I think setting up the expectation from the beginning that this is what the videos are going to be, this is how long they're going to take to produce, you know, and keeping that consistent has worked in her benefit a lot. So yeah, again, like I don't know how long she's going to want to keep doing the same formula, or, you know, that it will remain viable, or if it is viable currently as like a long term for whatever her life goals are, but you know, let's keep it viable because I like it.
Let's get viable.
Ergo Proxy doesn't actually think it's deep at all. It's literally a story without a message that invites you to impose your own message onto it by alluding to the idea that maybe there is a message. At least that's how it sat with me.
That's
interesting.
A lot.
Cold Davey says, I really think a show needs to be met at its own level. Like, the themes of Monogatari are not going to be the same as the themes of Naruto. That said, you still need to approach media in the same way. Of course. Arakawa Under the Bridge is a must if you like Monogatari. It is a pretty fun show. I don't know if it's a must if you like Monogatari, but it's visually in that ballpark. Beastars might be an anime you can call pretentious. I don't know what you mean by that. I don't see it. I love Beastars also.
I think some of the characters in Beastars are pretentious.
Yes, I think you could specifically call the deer guy pretentious, because that's, like, the point. But, like, even being able to like have a show that is self-aware about a character's flaws when the character is not is not pretentious. I think the best example is couldn't you argue that the pretentiousness of a game or show rather comes from the people that made it rather than the show game itself? Yeah, I ended up going in that direction, I guess. I brought up Toe. Toe writing is rough, but I like So Q No Fafner though. I have not seen Fafner.
What is that about?
It's a mecha show. Le Chevalier Dion was so not good despite all that old hype it got, lol. Yeah, that does not surprise me. Mopu says, a broad question, but how do you get over post-series sadness? Finishing the Walking Dead game had me crying hard weeks later, and getting over it is taking longer than I'd like, haha. It's not even a sad story, mind you. I think something about the finality and my care for the characters just got to me.
The Telltale Walking Dead game? Or
I assume so.
Okay, that's a sad game. I understand being sad about that.
I mean, yeah, if the story is sad, then I can definitely see that post-sadness. Like, because at first I thought you were going to be talking more along the lines of, like, what people described as Avatar syndrome. Do you remember this?
No.
One of my friends actually experienced this. But there was, if you saw the movie Avatar in 3D, it was just, like, so immersive and the world is so gorgeous that, like, going back to regular life afterwards was difficult for some people.
I did see Avatar in 3D on a cruise ship, no less.
Oh my god.
So it was like crazy weird going back to real life.
That would definitely be strange. Multiple layers of abstract reality. But yeah, I mean, like, consuming a piece of media definitely, like, takes you to a certain place emotionally. And, I've experienced more so than post-media depression, plenty of post-convention depression, and especially like if you like get to hang out with somebody you really like spending time with, and then like for a few days and then they're gone, then it's like, oh man, like life was just brighter when I was hanging out with that person. But usually that ends up happening under some kind of circumstance that can't just be replicated all the time, like especially a convention, like hanging out with these people in this like worry-free environment for 3 days feels so refreshing, but then you remember that like it took months of planning to like make that pocket of time available to you to be able to do whatever you wanted for 3 days, and I think that's basically what adulthood is, and I'm only really just now finally starting to really experience it fully, is like the realization that in order to do anything fun, you need to spend a bunch of time just like getting ready to do it, and that's basically the cycle of life, is the getting ready to do something fun and then the doing of the fun thing. And if anything you're doing in your life you're not regarding as either fun or as something that is setting you up for something fun, I think you're definitely doing it wrong. So like going to work obviously is setting up for doing something fun because it's getting you the funds you need to get the thing, but you have to have a thing that you're already, you have to have a thing you want, or else work is gonna just be hell. Like, it's just gonna be, why am I doing this if I don't even need anything, with this money? But yeah, like, so I think that anytime you're doing the fun part and you don't have an immediate sense of like where you are next going to get that kind of catharsis, then it's like a feeling of loss, of like, well, now I'm just here, like now I'm just the person after having that experience, like where do I even go from there? And it's like you almost need the next thing to come along to take your mind off of it, so I guess for me, it's like I'm used to constantly consuming new stuff. So, I might be like mesmerized and lost in the tone of a movie for 3 hours and then like come out of it. And right when I start to feel that onset of that feeling, it's like, let's just watch a fucking comedy movie right now, like get your mind off it, and then like you're still gonna think about the drama movie like when you go to bed later or whatever, but it's not gonna be so intense and inescapable, you know. And for me, it really, like, I don't consume a lot of sad media exactly for this reason, because I've never finished The Wire, because getting like halfway through season 3, like I was just haunted by it. Like, I couldn't stop thinking about it, you know, about how fucked up the world is, and like just all the stuff implied by the show, you know. So like really dark and really depressing stories get to me way too much, and it's hard for me to consume that kind of stuff because I don't want to be trapped in it afterwards. But you know, the older I get, I guess the easier it's been to deal with it and internalize it and just kind of move on and be like, it's fiction, whatever. Real life's more interesting anyways. Someone like Naoki Yoshida, who directs 14, is pretty humble, and no one would think the story or game is pretentious, but upon analysis there are some things that could give that impression. What is 14? Do you mean like Final Fantasy 14? Broad question. Oh wait, I already read that. He said of that Walking Dead game, it's not even a sad story, mind you. I think something about the finality and my care for the characters. You said it was a sad game. I think it is a sad game.
I thought it was really sad.
I remember even just hearing about it being sad, but
I mean, it's ultimately a nice ending, kind of, you know. It's sad, but it is not totally depressing.
YMS got into some major controversy for doing what you've been doing too for years. What is that? Pause and Select didn't like Hazel's new video and did a thread about it on Twitter. I'll have to read that, but I can't imagine myself having a particularly strong opinion about it. I feel that Hazel has the style where it creates a mood that you stay in while creating a narrative in the video. It really is amazing at what she does. Yeah, I think she does a really good job of like putting you in like a very particular state of mind that like you're on this trip with me, you know, like with Hazel. You're following her train of interests, her influences, and like how well you relate to that is basically like how much I think you're gonna get out of it, you know? Like, do you too want to look at pictures of the anime countryside for 80 minutes and, you know, kind of just wax on about how nice it is in a sing-song tone? Then here's a video for you.
Wax on, wax off. Wax on, wax off.
Fafnir is like knockoff Ava, but it just really tried to take that concept seriously, even to its detriment. If you like Hisashi Hidai face, it's easy to love. I do not like Hisashi Hidai face.
Is Ava not taking itself seriously?
I would say it is, for the most part, taking itself seriously, but it does have some wacky stuff in it.
It is pretty wacky.
Did Bird finish the Telltale Walking Dead games or just the earlier seasons?
I watched an entire playthrough of all of it. I didn't pay for it because I'm not that interested in The Walking Dead. I skipped through the playthrough quite a bit, but I understand most of it.
Wow, your character is looking sick.
Thanks.
I'm also used to constantly consuming tons of stuff, but when something feels as important to me as this, I almost don't want to move on. It's a very odd feeling. No, I get what you mean. But, like, you always gotta move. You must push on. You must push on. Ava is serious, but like the base plotline, boy pilot the robot with mental strife. Did you watch Squid Game? Nope.
Some of it. It was, I don't know. I could follow it for the first 2 episodes, and then it was just kind of hard for me. And maybe that's a me thing. But it was fine. I didn't have any problems with it.
Hey Trixie, are you still working on an anime, or did that happen already and I just missed it? It did not happen already. I have not produced the voice acting for it yet. So we can't do finish animation until that happens. And basically, I'm not trying to worry about it right now because both me and Mint Salad, who is animating it, have a lot of other stuff to worry about. And I don't really know how I'm gonna like monetize it. Like I don't expect it to get a ton of views because my channel is pretty fucking dead. So it's not like it's automatically going to get views the way it would have back when I was getting views automatically on anything I made. So like not having a real way to make money off of it, I don't want to go spending another like 100 hours in development or whatever before, before having more of a concrete plan for that. Anyway, hey, we've got a super chat, $5 from Lady Akemi. I don't have the patience to watch anime or other media, but I can watch YouTube videos, reviews for hours. What the fuck is wrong with me? Love to hear your thoughts. I feel you 100%, and I'm going to tell you right now something that might change your life. You can watch anime sped up. And I know it sounds wrong, but it only takes like a minute for your brain to click in and completely forget that you're watching it sped up. Because it feels the same. Like, the pacing is the same. It's just, it's all proportional to each other. So it's you just experience it a little bit differently. But, like, your brain will catch up to that, to whatever speed you can, like, whatever speed you consider comfortable. But if you can't watch a show at regular speed, there's a good chance that you can, like, if you kick it up the speed, you will suddenly realize what is actually happening. That happens to me a lot, where, like, scenes are so slow sometimes in certain shows that, like, I just zone out. Like, I can't pay attention to something that isn't constantly checking me back in. And this happens to me with YouTube videos as well. I get zoned out of YouTube videos all the time. If you watch my videos, you may notice my scripts are very dense. I'm constantly trying to catch your attention again. The newest one I did is strategically broken up where, like, every couple of minutes it kind of fades out and fades back in, and I say the name of the show again and do this, like, gimmick where I keep saying what it's about, because I wanted to, like, wake people up over and over again. And with that video in particular, it's like, this show is for, like, bouncy teenagers and young adults who, like, don't want to sit through 15 minutes of a boring analysis video unless it's got, like, lots of cute pictures from the show and really makes lots of interesting points, So, like, so yeah, I feel you. It's hard for me to pay attention to anything all the way through unless it has a ton of personality and, like, I really connect with the presenter and it's a certain amount of hyperactive, or even just loud. Like, fucking Finn McKenty, it's hard not to pay attention because he screams everything he says, practically. But even when it's, like, some boring subject I don't care about, I'll end up watching the video and paying more attention than I probably should, just because he's shouting it. But yeah. Oh, $5 from Kira Lou says, just a thank you, because I basically got a Fafner rant already. Amazing. I haven't even seen it, and I managed to rant about it for you. That's impressive. But I'm glad. I will check that out. I am, like, really interested now in, like, just grinding To Ubukata as my personal enemy until the day I have to see him face to face. Because I don't feel bad. I know he's rich, and he's been accused of. I remember when the story came out about the violence against his wife, I immediately remembered that I had, like, just read one of his stories where he was, like, arguing with or fighting with her in the story. And I got the impression that probably his wife might not be the cleanest character either. They might be people who fight each other, maybe, from the way that you described her. But nonetheless,
I do not approve.
Two wrongs don't make a right. Seems like a bad guy. Just seems like a not cool guy. And also, he's written some of the most aggravating anime ever created. So, if I were to consume all of his work and to find that it was all, equally problematic, then I could probably get a lot of material out of that. I like having a target who I don't have to, like, feel bad about. Like, with Sword Art Online, part of the fun of ripping on it is, like, Reki Kawahara, who wrote it, is fairly public, and he seems like somebody who would take it really well. Like, he's literally, like, taken a lot of the criticism of the story seriously and tried to improve. And, like, so I kind of have a certain affection for Kawahara because he just kind of seems like a dopey writer who, like, got way more famous than he would have ever thought based on how well he can write, by, like, stumbling on a concept that was super popular and then having, like, the perfect anime adaptation of it, in terms of, what it would do for popularity. But Tohu Bukata, as I said earlier, seems like a pretentious asshole who, who wouldn't probably listen to critics, but has made a shitload of money anyways and keeps getting hired even though, like, he's an uncomfortable person to a point where voice actresses don't want to work on the shows that he is a writer on. Like, how often does that happen? Like, how many writers even have enough notoriety that they could be selected as somebody to be upset that you're on the same project with? Especially Japanese writers. Yeah. Seems like a good target. If I had to be a mean person about something. Lady Akemi says, it's hard for me to concentrate on anime that won't tell the viewer what's going on and makes them out the puzzle piece together, for example, is Steins Gate. A lot of people feel that way about Steins Gate. I really liked that show because I feel kind of the opposite, and I feel like you're in the same boat as Bird here, because, you were saying how your frustration with Evangelion was that, like, you just don't know literally what the fuck is happening. Like, it won't tell you.
Yeah, it's confusing.
It just... It's because it wants you to be in, like, the same mind space as Shinji, but, like, if you're not really interested in being the same mind space as Shinji, then it's kind of like, okay, well, this show sucks if I have to be Shinji fucking Ikari,
Yeah, no one wants to be Shinji Ikari.
Right, and, like, I don't think the show was necessarily made for people who want to be him. It was made for people who just are him, which was me when I first saw the show, and it could never... As much as I deeply understand it as an adult, like, I don't think it could ever mean as much to me as an adult as it did when I was a kid, because, like, it really opened my mind up to things that I had never even considered before, like philosophical ideas that are literally trite to me now because they were introduced to me by Ava when I was young. And, like, it's really funny how much I loved the last two episodes of the show when I saw it back then, and how much I just, like, hate them now, because as an adult it's just like, I don't care, this is so boring. It's just like lecturing me about shit that I already heard when I was a kid from the same place. I don't know how to even, like, contextualize if that makes it good or bad, perfect or the opposite. If you can't watch a show at regular speed, isn't that a good indication you don't really like it and should probably drop it? It really depends, because I think the answer is usually yes, but there's a lot of reasons to watch a show beyond just that you're enjoying it, especially if it's popular, because you want to understand the cultural context of it. And, like for instance, I feel weird about the fact that I haven't seen all of Demon Slayer, because it is a huge disconnect I have from the vast majority of people considering themselves anime fans currently. And even if, like, very little of my audience cares about Demon Slayer because it's much more hardcore oriented and also aging, like, a lot of the people still watching my content have been doing so for a while, so, like, and that's partly because I'm not someone who's watching Demon Slayer and, like, the stuff that, the new generation of onboarding anime fans really cares about. And meanwhile, I'm going back and readdressing the stuff that, like, got people like me into the medium, like Inuyasha, that at the time it was airing wouldn't have been what the hardcore people were talking about, So, like, it's really interesting to see the stratification of what is popular with whom currently. But you know, like, I don't like Demon Slayer, and I don't want to talk about it because I don't like it, because I don't think that's an interesting perspective to have on it, is like why this thing that everyone loves sucks. Like, unless I had like some really solid point to make, like with SAO, but you know, I do think I want to see the whole show just because I want to understand what those people have seen and like be able to connect and be a part of the conversation. And it doesn't mean that I have to have, you know, had the full experience of watching it at regular speed. You don't have to tell people that you watched it sped up either, you know. Have you considered getting published somewhere? Because I'm certain your words or ideas would be recognized as worthy. I have no idea where people are getting paid to be published in current year. Like, I don't know writers who are making money on the kinds of stuff that I'm writing. If I had a complete fiction novel, it would be different. Like, that's something I could see trying to get published, but I haven't finished any of my books yet. Got a ton of partially written material. It sounds blasphemous to watch anime at 1.5 or 2 times the speed. What if I told
you say that?
What if I told you that I was watching it at 4 times the speed a lot of the time?
Also,
like,
related to blasphemy, we happen to have switched gears and we're now heading towards Rykard, the Lord of that word.
Oh, we're going to fight the Lord of Blasphemy?
Yeah, I'm just kind of running around doing stuff. That's what this game is best for. Run around doing stuff.
Should I change the video title and thumbnail to be Rykard and a quote from him?
You could.
Maybe.
We could devour the very gods or something.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Ooh. Oh, that was a good fall. Wow.
Bobby Hill says, imagine watching Legend of the Galactic Heroes sped up.
Did we?
maybe a significant amount of it was at least at 1.25 speed. There's 110 episodes of that show. Dude, that's another one where like I couldn't concentrate actually at regular speed in a lot of episodes because it's easier for me to process a large amount of information if it's coming at me a little bit faster, because then like you know, you see the same names come up repeatedly more quickly, you know. I want things to be quick. I want things to be fast. I don't want to wait around. I don't want to not know when I could know.
All right, there's supposedly a wall in here somewhere that I can hit 50 times and get a shortcut.
They're talking about YMS's finish or failing movies and talking about the fact that he didn't finish them. I think the real problem there is only that he's giving them a score. And I understand that in his mind, he's just saying, like, look, based on what I saw, this movie seems like it would probably be a 6 out of 10 to me. I totally get that personally as a creator. I would never fucking do that in a video because I know how seriously people take it, because they see the score as like you are grading this on a rubric of like, you know, of everything that exists and in full. You have to base this score on like the complete work, because maybe the movie looks like it's a 6 out of 10, but what if it nosedives at the end and it's actually a 3? You know, like, how could you... Am I going to list this on your list of scores as a 6 when you didn't even finish it? Like, that's confusing. So, yeah, I do not give scores to stuff unless I did actually complete it. I will talk about the thing even if I didn't finish it. But, you know... I kind of always took the approach that if I can't finish the show, then the score from me is a 0. It means it wasn't even enough. Like, I couldn't get through it. And, like, there's very few shows that I've scored, like, a 1 or a 2, and it's because I probably wouldn't have finished them if I didn't force myself to. And, like, you know, but a lot of the stuff I've given 1s and 2s to is just, like, 3 minutes long. So, like, yeah, I did watch the whole thing, and it did suck that badly, but It's rare that you have to sit through more than 3 minutes of something you hate to recognize it. Best part, it becomes confusing when Ubukata gets on the project. A Fafnir. Ooh. Yeah, well, that sounds about right. I mean, that's what happened to Psycho Pass. Psycho Pass was very straightforward for its first season. It was not a confusing show. It was not a mystery show. It was a sci-fi procedural cop drama.
Be a snail.
And then it turned... What the hell is a snail doing here? Where are you?
I'm in the Volcano Manor.
I see. So those must be Mascargo. That's what he's called, right?
The Pokemon?
Yeah.
Macargo.
Macargo? It's hard for me to concentrate on anime that won't tell the... Oh, wait, I already read that. A little behind. Ancient Magus Bride looks promising. I think I watched like half the first episode of that. Maybe I'll try it again sometime. The wall is behind the armored dude sitting down.
No, really?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Are you sure?
Lady Akemi, that's ignoring the dialogue. Blah, blah, blah. I think it's going to watch Sakuga scene sped up. The dialogue seems little no animation. The only time that we've watched an anime sped up and I wanted to like go back and see it in regular speed was like a year ago when we were watching Vivi Fluorite Eye's song. Which I didn't even like. I forgot that we were even watching that sped up, but that was like early into starting to doing it, and like the fight scenes looked really good in that show, and so like they're already like as fast as they could be while still looking coherent, and so watching it sped up is like just a total clusterfuck. Whereas actually a lot of animation looks way cooler sped up. Like when you're watching most anime and plus in X2, it will look phenomenally better because it just feels smoother and faster and more intense. But yeah, definitely like when they're doing the animation in that like hyper limited style, it can look a little fucky. I watched a minute of ReZero before dropping it. Yeah, you really saved your... There's people who, like, want me to talk about ReZero to shit on it more, and, like, I don't have the energy. That's just the most boring show I have ever fucking sat through, and I can't do it again. Like, I don't like being angry because I'm bored at something that I know other people aren't bored at and like are totally invested in and paying attention, and so they're not going to resonate with my complaint, you know? Like, the people who love ReZero do not get the criticisms of ReZero. They don't care. Like, they're totally in a different universe. Like, it's just a love it or hate it show. There's not really an interesting conversation, I think, to be had about it because, like, you're either going to be super defensive of it or super fucking against it. Whereas something like a Tohu Ubukata would be more interesting because nobody has strong opinions of his work except for me. Most people just think they're okay and then forget they ever happened. So, I can really bring out the passion. That's kind of how it was for Asterisk War 2, where, like, people... When I started that, like, the opinion of almost everybody who was commenting was, like, why this? Like, it's just some generic bad show. And I'm like, you don't understand. It's so much worse than that. Like, it's the worst of an already bad thing.
Ah, shit.
I think the issue with anime fights at 2x speed is that they weren't meant to be scrutable at double speed. Sometimes they look better smoother, but a lot of time you'll miss things. I mean, that again, Vivi was a good example of that, but it's just not as... It's not super common that there's amazing fight scenes in anime. Obviously nobody's watching a Ghibli movie sped up. I mean, maybe somebody is. If you don't like them, I guess you could watch them sped up just for the reason I said before of understanding the point. But generally, if you start watching something and it is entertaining, then you don't speed it up. If you start watching something and you're like, wow, this is fucking boring, maybe at 2 times speed it will be tolerable. Then or even like, this is kind of interesting, but like I can't really pay attention to it. But yeah, I mean, the experience of watching Inuyasha was the experience of every so many episodes raising the speed a little bit higher, a little bit higher. Let's get through this a little bit faster.
The first 40 episodes, it was pretty close to regular speed.
Yeah, the first I really think the first 30 episodes of Inuyasha are good. Not all of them are amazing, but it's a good stretch. It's a fun show. It's worth having seen. And then after that, like, none of it's really necessary at all. I wish I could play Elden Ring at 2x speed. It never ends. It's true. It is insanely long. It doesn't feel that slow, though, especially for an open world game. But even, like, compared to other Souls games, like, there's way less running back, you know, when you die. It's just, like, less stuff that is there to specifically slow you down and make it more of a hassle, and a lot more, like, convenience and quality of life stuff. It's just not as much of a plotting, thinky game as the other ones, I guess. Tales from Earthsea can go at 2x. Yeah, that's what I hear. I've never actually tried to watch that, but I could definitely see... That would be a perfect example of a type of movie that I could see, like, throwing on, getting, like, 10, 15 minutes in and being like, this is not gonna be worth it. And then, like, kicking it up to 4x and watching it in 20 minutes and being like, all right, I saw Tales of Earthsea. I get it. I get the complaints. If cuties were a lolly anime, I wonder if people would still have a problem with it. I mean, people have a problem with lolly anime. It's just not usually put in front of them. Like, if we learned anything from the popularity of Demon Slayer, and particularly the popularity of artwork of the girl, Nezuna? Is that her name?
Yeah.
Nezuna.
Nezuko.
Nezuko. If we learn anything from the Nezuko art, it's that American normies, like, are not prepared for deep lore anime art. Like getting into anime doesn't mean you are suddenly ready for everything that is in the world of anime. And I think it's like the more normalized anime gets, the more that stuff is going to come under scrutiny, and more people are going to be complaining about it, and more of a conversation is going to be had about it. But Cuties in particular is a different story. It's offensive for more reasons than Lolly is, but it was also just, like, put on Netflix as, like, yeah, this is a movie we're releasing, and advertising, and, like, putting dollars behind, and, like, putting in front of your face. Lolly is usually kind of trying to hide itself. It's like if you, what is it? E-hentai. Where, like, you have to... It's E-hentai is the doujin site, that there's X-hentai is, like, the version of it that you have to sign up for and, like, have a special... You have to, like, have a workaround to access the site just to be able to see Lolly. Like, the only difference between it and the regular site is that. That's the depth at which that stuff is trying to protect itself. So, yeah, people would definitely still have a problem with it. South Park is lolly anime, raises bar. South Park is Shota. South Park is definitely Shota. It is definitely replete with deliberate Shota theming, as just a way to fuck with people. But it's all in presentation. It really is. Like, you know, it's all about how uncomfortable the images make people actually, and you know, and what they feel you must be like to be able to enjoy those images by way of what they are reading into them, you know? I guess another way of putting it is, the more attracted someone is to a lolly image, the more offended they will be by the lolly image. So, you know, keep that in mind next time somebody's really, like, having an intense reaction to something. Would you beta read or edit or critique a story I wrote, and if so, how much would you charge? That really depends.
$500.
That's a good number. It depends on the length of the story, though. I don't know. You'd have to let me know, like, how long it is and what exactly you're looking for, I guess. I mean, I'm not a professional editor. You know, I don't know what publishers are looking for or anything like that. So, if you were just looking for, like, advice... So I've had a difficulty with this with certain people who have, like, asked me to review their writing over the years, where sometimes I start reading it and the problem is everything. And I'm like, I don't know how to tell this person.
And you still have to charge them $500.
Well, it's just like, you know, for me, it's like, oh, the whole mechanism of, like, the way you write can be, you know, like, sometimes it's just like every sentence is phrased in a way that frustrates me, and I'm like, I don't know how to deal with this. Like, am I going to rewrite your story? Am I, like, you know, is this how you want it to be? And that's the other thing, like, I don't want to meddle in anybody's intent too much. So, you know, I've always been kind of nervous about getting involved in editing, but... you know, getting paid would be nice. Especially
hey, get paid, get laid, Gatorade.
Get paid, get laid, Gatorade.
I'm switching characters because that's why I have 5 of them. Not clubbing. We'll do coffee water.
Guys like Andy Worski were screaming that Cuties was CP and then took clips of the most explicit scenes and shared them on Twitter. Does that mean he distributed CP? By his own definition, yes.
That is a very deep insight, my cunt. Thank you.
I don't know how I never realized what that guy's name was. That Mike Hunt is my cunt. I've literally seen this name many, many times, and I've never put this together. You did.
What about Mike Hawk?
I don't think I've seen that one.
What about Mike Penis?
Mopu says, wait, why do you have so many characters, LOL?
Because this is how I play video games.
There's a lot of play styles in this game.
Yeah, I mean...
You're not the only one. There's a lot of people who play the Souls games this way, for sure.
The last guy I was playing, he's my Faith type-ish build. I recently respec'd him. I'm definitely going to respec him again, because now I have a better idea of what I want. Mm-hmm. This is my sorcerer build. I'm dumb.
It's the kind of thing where you're like, okay, playing with, like, magic as a focus and playing with swords as a focus are very different experiences, and they become that way very quickly. So you can get, like, a little bit in and be like, alright, well, playing with swords is cool, but, like, I kind of want to do magic, and I'm not, like, I've totally spec'd against that, you know?
Yeah.
So let me just fire up another guy.
But, you know, once you do a certain thing in Liurnia of the Lakes, the Academy of Rhea Lucaria, you gain the ability to, respec. I don't want to spoil anything, so I don't even want to say what you can do. But you can't do it,
like, infinitely, right?
There are 18 of the consumable items you need to do it in the game. And so you can do it 18 times.
Oh, yeah, Mike Hunt with Australian $2 said penis with a 3 for the E.
Very nice.
But yeah, the having multiple characters. The other thing is that, like, as anybody who's played these games repeatedly will tell you, most of the challenge is knowing, and so when you go back through on another character, it's like 1,000 times easier usually. It doesn't take nearly as long because you know where everything is and how to deal with it, and you know your expectations are adjusted. You're not being nearly as careful, except for where it counts, obviously. Mike Hunt says Amanda Hug and Kiss. I'm a big fan of that. That Simpsons meme. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where like Bart calls the bar and he's like,
I'm looking for Amanda Hug and Kiss.
Yeah.
Is there an Amanda Hug and Kiss?
Yeah. I used to play that on TV all the time. It was like a commercial. Random personal question for Trixie that she's free to ignore, but how are you feeling about your transition these days? Or I guess more accurately, how has daily life been for you as a trans woman lately? Lately?
Do you feel visible?
I do feel visible. Almost uncomfortably so. But, because we're not wearing masks here in Virginia anymore for the most part. So, you know, I definitely look more feminine with a mask on, so it was there was some benefit to that for me, but nonetheless, you know, I've been I'm like 4 visits into the laser hair removal on the face, which is not enough to not have to still shave every day, or every couple days. So basically not much has changed for me. You know, I feel sort of stalled because I don't really have the money to like do like most of what transition is beyond just like telling people to call you a woman and you know, dressing however you want is stuff that costs money. Like
that bastard was
dead.
dead.
You can buy hormones and surgeries and clothes and whatever you want to like look more feminine, but like you know, it's indulgent, I guess, and I haven't had the space to really be like hyper indulgent about transition. So basically my lifestyle has not been very different, particularly lately. I feel pretty similar to like where I was at in like 2016, except that I am with a partner, which makes it a lot easier to live life, because back in 2016, the main thing that sucked about my life is that I was very lonely and doing most of the stuff by myself. So having that taken care of makes it a lot easier to be there. The hardest thing about being where I was at in 2016 is that I'm not nearly as successful as I was then. So it's like doing the exact same thing, but at a like 100th of the scale of views, you know? And if I was making the amount of money that, you know, or if I was getting the amount of views I had back then and set that up to make it so I could make the amount of money that I could have been making back then by having that amount of views, then I'd be probably more indulgently transitioning and throwing money at it the way that you see a lot of other successful trans YouTubers doing. But I ain't got that kind of cash. Modern games are trash. Civilization peaked in 2006. 2006? I don't know about 2006.
Well, okay. I was gonna say the Jeep Gladiator didn't exist at the time, but there was a similar Jeep truck that it was around. I'll allow it.
Hugh Jass as a name. Hugh Jass.
Yep.
What do you think about that?
It's funny.
I don't think it sounds enough like a name. The Jass part.
Are you not a fan of jazz?
Do you play PS4 or any cross-platform games? I can't find my PS4 controllers, so I haven't played it lately. Since setting up my gaming stuff at the place we're staying now, I just don't know what happened to my PS4 controllers. So, otherwise I probably would have bought Elden Ring on the PS4 before you ended up buying it on PC, because my PC can't play it, and my PS4 would be able to. But I'm glad that I'm playing it on PC instead, so it would have been probably run like shit on the PS4 and been much more of a pain to get footage from. Mike Hunt with $2 says, big shout out Sadie N-word.
I am not a fan of that one.
I like that one. Zero Soon Game with $10 says, semi-related to your Bisque doll vid, where's the line between aspirational idealization, say like Sakamoto desu ka, and unhealthy idealization about how people should be in anime? I think that with Sakamoto, the character is above life. Like, you could see him as aspirational, but you're not meant to view him as anybody you could ever be. He is, like, too perfect. He's beyond the impossible. And like, in ways that are very obvious. Like, it's I don't think the manga is, like, trying to teach you how to be a better person or anything like that. It's more just, like, marveling at how great Sakamoto is. But, like, a lot of it is, like, divine grace. It's, like, the situation just kind of molds itself to be, to allow him to find some, like, crazy circumvention of the circumstances. So, like, yeah, it's a wacky comedy series. I don't think a lot of people are looking to it, for that kind of personal connection. Whereas, like, with Bisque Doll, because it's kind of, like, slow-moving and intimate, and it really gets you into the headspace of the characters, like, it really feels like it's, a show you're meant to project onto and connect with Gojo to some extent. And, like, anything that's a manga adaptation, I have to look at it through the lens of the manga author. Because manga authors live one of the most particular, regimented lifestyles out there. They have to put out a ton of pages at a really fast rate. They work, like, ridiculous hours, and so, like, their experience of life is very limited, especially if there's somebody who, spent all their time drawing growing up and gets into the industry when they're relatively young, and, like, this is just all they do is draw stuff. And, like, so they're not pulling necessarily from a huge number of experiences. And with this manga in particular, it feels like the crafting of the dolls is a metaphor for drawing manga. Like, it's the reason that the author can appreciate this level of passion and drive is that they have that level of passion and drive. It's why they can do what they do. So, like, from that angle, I see this manga author clearly idolizes people like the main character's granddad, who are, who work at it every day and who are striving for mastery, who are striving to be the best that they will ever possibly be able to be, and who view, like, every second they waste as taking them away from the level of mastery they could achieve. And I do think there are people out there who, like, genuinely feel that way and are striving for that in their lives, but there's very few people like that. And, like, I don't think that's something you need to be, like, concerning young people with trying to be. Like, if there's somebody who is trying to achieve that level of mastery, I don't think they need you to, like, remind them of how much hard work it takes. Like, they either get it or they don't. And, like, if it's somebody who doesn't get it and is, like, going to try to take on more than they actually can, or, like, maybe just doesn't have the talent to become a master like that, or wouldn't be able to actually finish that dress in that week, which no human could. Like, I got comments from cosplay designers who were like, yeah, there's no way I could do that in even 2 weeks. It's just too advanced. And, like, to suggest that you can might send the wrong message to people that, like, hey, maybe you overscheduled yourself and took on more work than you should have, but, just think about the smiling faces you'll see when you're done, and it'll all be worth it. And it's like, no, this guy's gonna work himself to death. Like, this kid's gonna fucking die. Like, you can't tell people that that's okay. So that's kind of where I was coming from with that. And I get that that's, like, not necessarily the message that it's trying to send, but that is the message it kind of accidentally sent, at least in my mind. As somebody who, overworks myself, overburns myself, overschedules, and, like, has this problem, I think that the mature way to handle that would have been for him to realize, I shouldn't have tried to do all this. I've been unreasonable, to break down and tell someone along the way, no, I can't do it. And then, when he found out, oh, I wasn't expecting you to do it anyways, then it would have been like, oh, whoosh, haha, it was no big deal anyway. but you know, I made a mature decision instead of making what to me was an immature decision and like kind of being rewarded for it and not really, because like, you know, she cries and everything and he feels bad and he understands that he's kind of like made a mistake, but you know, it still doesn't feel like the show was punishing him for it, I guess. At least that was how I felt. Boop, 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 boop. I did hair removal appointments for years. It's not an easy process. Lol. Yeah, I mean, I'm only set to do the face and neck, and it's supposed to be 10 visits total. I've done 4, and yeah, it hurts. It is not a pleasant experience, and I hope it will fully work, because I had a few months in between my second and third visit because of the fact that we moved across the country, and it took me a while to actually like set up an appointment to drive all the way to Washington D.C. to visit the fucking place that actually exists on the East Coast. So I'm hoping that like having a gap there doesn't like fuck it all up or something, but it seems to be going well. I've definitely lost a ton of hair on my cheeks as of this 4th visit. But it's like the thicker hair on the chin that's like the hardest to get rid of. And yeah, they just blast your face with a laser over and over again for like 15 minutes, and it feels like getting, you know, like stabbed with a little heat ray. Luckily the pain is fleeting though. It only hurts for like that second and then it's
just
gone.
like joy.
Yeah, it's like getting your eyebrows waxed. It's a similar level
or threaded.
Yeah, threaded, that's what I meant.
Waxed hurts too.
I haven't done that though.
I mean, some threadings I've seen, they literally just wax your eyebrows, but they use thread to do it.
Yeah.
And that's why they call it threading, and that always, like, confused the fuck out of me.
Yeah, that shit hurts. I did that. That was what I got the first time. And then when we did it the second time...
It was like...
it was a normal threading, and I was like, oh, that didn't hurt
yeah, it was cool
anywhere
as
near
hell.
as bad as whatever happened to me last time.
I really liked that. That was fun. I think that was in Virginia Beach.
Read manga Homunculus. A man can see people's true self. He looks at a guy who appears to him as a tiny fish in water. Then he dresses. When he dresses like a woman, he appears normal to him. I have read like 8 volumes of Homunculus way back when that was all that was translated, and I have never gotten back to reread and finish it. But it is really good, so I should definitely do that. But yeah, it's got fucking super trippy art, really psychological plot line. When you get to like volume 6 or 7, it becomes just like a deep dive on why the main character eats his own cum after sex, and like has like basically just has relationships with women where he just buys them really nice things so that they'll
oh no,
suck his
I've been
dick.
invaded by Bloody Finger Tax Evader.
But it's like implied that he doesn't really get off on like the actual like actually getting his dick sucked. He's just getting off on the fact that she would do that because he gave her money or like, gave her something nice, you know? It's crazy. It's good stuff. Same author as Ichi the Killer. I did not know that. Good to see you still going. Best wishes to you and your partner. Best wishes to you too, Jake the Snake. Good name. Ekinzone with $5 says, talk about Hazel videos. I was actually doing that just earlier. Funnily enough, unpaid. I gave like a whole opinion about her videos, but I'll do it again since I guess you weren't here. Just that I really like the approach she takes of like going down a train of thought and like finding everything related to it and not really concerning yourself about like, oh, I have to finish all these shows and give like an opinionated review. It's just like, you know, let's have a big think about anime countrysides and watch like as many shows that give me thoughts about it as possible, or that I have something to say about it as possible. They're very comfy, very explorative, and like it helps that we have very similar taste in aesthetics. So like when she made that comfy anime RPGs video, that was particularly exciting for me because like I just looked at the cover and there's like the thumbnail, I mean, and it was like several games that I like that are mega obscure, and games that I haven't played that are obscure that I've been meaning to play, and then other games that I don't recognize but look cool and I want to play. And it's like, all right, you know, I guess the type, there's a limited amount of the type of person who in the year 2020 or in you know in current decade are like, I really want to investigate Swordcraft story for the Game Boy, you know, or for the Game Boy Advance, like, because I just love looking at Game Boy Advance action RPGs. And, like, I don't have to beat it, but I want to play at least enough of it to just be like, yeah, and you know, I think that is exactly the type of audience, or actually, I don't know really what Hazel's audience is like. I don't know if it's mostly people who are like, oh wow, I play all these same games, or if it's more like, you bring me all this stuff I've never heard of type stuff. For me, it's more like, oh my god, someone's talking about shit I know about that no one fucking talks about, that like I'm not willing to talk about, because my approach is usually like, I'm trying to watch this piece of media and write a review. You know, the fact that she's able to find these like contexts where it makes sense to talk about all this different stuff without having to be like that is what I think makes it really interesting. And you know, I probably wouldn't be able to really do that format the same way, so I appreciate that someone does it. Mike Hunt with $5 Australian. What do you make of the weirdo YouTubers that try to take down Richard Masterson? It seems like envy to me, like they think they will absorb his fame. Yeah, I don't even know who anybody is that's ever tried to take him down. Like, it's always people I've never heard of and wouldn't ever hear of. Large sections of the internet are comprised of people with a mentality that I could never ever relate to, that when I find out about, I feel a deep fear. And I think the most I ever experienced that was with Barack Obama, when he sicked his Twitter audience on me. And I really felt like the people who follow this guy, like, aside from the fact that he is obviously like a massive sociopath in the way that he operates on the internet, that like the kinds of people who follow him just seem devoid of empathy. Like, you cannot be approaching people with any kind of like good faith and think it's okay to just like attack like this. And so, you know, there's always like these sections of the internet that are just people who are out to like find people and fuck with them, who are like, what moral advantage can I find that makes this person no longer human, and therefore like I can sick this army on them, you know? It's the equivalent of probably the scene that horrified me the most in anime ever is in Shiki, when they murder the mom vampire, and it's just kind of a moment of like, oh shit, this is our enemy, let's kill her, like she is no longer human to us, she is just like an evil creature. And it's like all these people who were being nice to her like moments beforehand, and it like all turned out to be like a trick and a trap, and like it was just that moment that you realize like what people, like the level of insidiousness that people are capable of to ensnare and destroy you, you know? And like I think there's this viciousness in a lot of people where they're like, I want to take people out. Like I want to root out, you know, evil in the world. But then they have to go and decide what is evil and how do I identify it and how do I pitch it to other people so they'll join me, you know? And so they look for targets who categorically they've decided like, okay, if you make this type of joke, you're evil. And like all it takes is that one offense, one crossing of that line that puts you into the category of not human anymore and therefore like worthy of abject destruction, you know? And so I think there's always going to be people like that who are going to come after anyone who's controversial in any way that's easy to identify, like Dick Masterson, where like, you know, anybody who knows him or knows his comedy knows that he's pretty fucking harmless, mostly just a really funny dude. And if anything, in my opinion, on a lot of the right sides. You know, a lot of friends. How do I put it? He's somebody who I think his historical impact will have been positive. Let's put it that way. But obviously, there's tons of people who are going to look at him and immediately feel the opposite and be like, this thing is fair game for me to just like completely destroy. And yeah, I do think it is like an aspect of cannibalism of like hoping you're going to eat their audience or something, because you know, you'll see where when someone's like, when somebody who's popular on the internet is actually like falling, like their audience is turning against them, there's always going to be someone who tries to drag that audience over here by being the one who helps them to turn against the person they hate, you know? So it's like, if you as a creator are somebody who like makes takedown videos and you see that there's like a few Dick Masterson fans who are like, oh, he really crossed the line this time, then you're gonna be like, ooh, can you maybe give me some quotes about that, you know, and like, let's make a video about this, and like you sweep in and just become the hero to all the people who now have a problem with this person, you know, and like that's a way to sort of steal an audience. I've definitely seen lots of people try it. They've tried to do it to me, but I've you know, any audience of mine that I've lost, I did that myself. Oh, go over those sandbags behind you. Yeah, go over that wall. There's a whole fucking area over here. They really think Dick faked breaking his leg because he said he did on Kiwi Farms, apparently. Yeah, I mean, they'll believe fucking... It's been pretty fun, you know, once we realized that like they only have whatever information you give them to go on. So if you just start giving them like little weird tidbits, they're gonna run with it, and it's pretty fun to see how far the interpretations can get from reality based on like the little dumb shit that you throw out there. So I won't go too much into all that. I mostly hear about that stuff secondhand from my friends. Mike Hunt says they don't understand why Dick's edgelord comedy makes $30K a month, and their edgelord comedy is just Sadie N-word. The guys attacking Dick are not SJWs anymore. It's like other right-wingers because he said he liked Cuties, a movie he didn't watch. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You say other right-wingers, but Dick's just not a right-winger. He's just he's a, you know...
No.
I won't call him a liberal because that now means... I don't know what any of the political stuff means anymore because everyone's in like... What everyone thinks they are, I don't know what if it's what I think that thing means, you know? Like, if you call yourself a liberal, I don't know if that means what I think it means, but, you know, Dick is...
Freedom.
Pro-freedom, yeah. And conservatism is not being pro-freedom. If anything, when I was growing up, it was the opposite of that. Nowadays, there's a lot of right-wingers who like to talk about the freedom.
Nowadays, it's just switched sides.
Yeah. Like, in the 90s, liberals were the freedom party. It was... conservatism was just purely about censorship and we don't want stuff. And, like, after 9/11...
What do we want? Nothing.
Shit got complicated.
When do we want it? Now.
And then by the time you get to the 2010s, it's like now suddenly free speech is seen as a right-wing argument. That's weird. But, you know,
yeah,
like...
I like freezing my peaches.
Dick Masterson didn't grow up in that environment. He grew up in an environment where he was considered a liberal by more standard definitions. And I think he thinks it's really funny that that the tide has turned to a point that, you know, that in order to make money... he brings in right-wing voices, you know, like, it's an odd place to be. But he's really good at, like, you know, allowing free speech, allowing people to actually just say their shit, and he really likes to let people hoist themselves by their own retard.
Petard, dear.
That's not how he says it.
I know. Politics are a waste of time. Most things are.
Big agree.
Hey, everyone, real quick, how do we feel about the food shortage? Does everyone have an obscene amount of meat in their freezer? Good. You should. We're just gonna take a break real quick, I can take a moment to ask Trixie to fill the blungo blungo.
Oh yes.
And not say what the
No,
is.
nobody will know what that is. None of these noises will be revealing or implicating or anything. Intelligence Paradigm says, I gotta go work for now, but it's always super nice to hear talk like this. Hope you never stop sharing your thoughts. Thank you. I hope so too.
Hey, I share my thoughts with everyone. Did you ever think about an elephant that he's small?
I share my thoughts with everyone too. Because, they bring home money afterwards.
Nice.
With their hoes. You know what I'm saying?
Bitches and hoes. Bitches and hoes.
Bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. That's what I heard. Dick's a Ron Swanson. Yeah, kinda.
No, because Ron Swanson's a libertarian, and Dick would be offended, I think, if you called him a libertarian. Maybe not offended, but he would not appreciate it.
It's just, again, it's because, none of the things are what they mean. Whatever textbook definition of libertarian is not what comes into anybody's head when you say libertarian. They picture a guy who doesn't want roads and thinks... What was that fucking toaster speech? There was this one clip Dick had posted one time where he was making fun of libertarians because of this, just totally preposterous argument somebody was making holding a toaster on a stage. And I remember seeing that and being like, yeah, I can never call myself a libertarian because, this is the reputation and... this is just not something you ever want to associate yourself with politically. Food won't become any more scarce for the average American, just a lot more expensive.
Yeah, no, that's the problem. That's why I have it in my freezer.
I'm suffering this food shortage because the world went underwater in 2020. I saw it on An Inconvenient Truth. We would be underwater if we didn't ban plastic straws. How many places actually did that? That's just California and New York, right?
I think Hawaii probably did it.
There's probably some kind of ulterior reason for that beyond global warming.
Plastic is a byproduct of the petroleum process. And so it's, I don't know, I don't think it's getting harder to produce. It's really easy to produce, but maybe it's got something to do with that. Politics are weird right now. Who understands?
Nobody. You're not supposed to.
That's what they want.
There's a quote I saw recently that was laws are like sausages. You don't want to see how it's made.
Australia banned plastic straws, but you guys are an ocean-centric country, right? You guys really enjoy the ocean and want to take care of it. That's how California is, too. So it makes sense.
See, because, I know Australia to be, considered at least a very, conservative place, so...
No. I
right?
think the opposite, actually.
No?
Yeah,
oh.
I mean, everyone...
Maybe things have changed there. Australia I knew from when Cider used to tell me about it is the fuck off we're full Australia.
Sure, there is certainly that, and, Rand, of course. But,
Yeah.
I don't know, I just mean, the people in political power. Anything I've ever seen of, a video of Australia's parliament or political goings-on, it's always ooh, I don't think I'd want to live there. They have silly laws.
Australia is mostly unlivable desert.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but they have really nice beach with sharks and scary things. So you go to that, and you maybe die, but you mostly enjoy the beauty.
There was a really disturbing video of a turtle with a straw up its nose that got rolled into a larger conversation of plastic pollution. Plastic bags and straws are supposed to be the first step, but worthwhile legislation at the corporate level has yet to happen. I guess that's where we're
well, what are the next steps, I guess? I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder what's supposed to be next.
I have recently gone from thinking yeah, electric cars are cool. I still think they're cool. They're neat. to going like, but I want a really old Ford 7.3 liter diesel engine so that I can have something that I know will always work, actually and forever, and I will not have to worry about anything. Because I don't know, Rivian hasn't put out that many cars or trucks, even though I like them, so we don't really know about their reliability. Tesla is one of the worst reliable, most least reliable companies in terms of like customer satisfaction, and so that's unfortunate. Their cars look really cool. It's just I would and yeah I've heard some stuff about the stuff that the batteries or lithium. It's hard to get lithium, and it's from all kinds of weird places that we might not necessarily want. And apparently, it's really scarce right now. I don't know. I would really like an auto manufacturer to just like make an old school type truck with air conditioning, and that's it. In terms of like options, maybe like 4-wheel drive, of course, but other than that, like I just want it to drive and have air conditioning. I'll figure out everything else.
Apparently, the next steps are supposed to be restrictions to commercial fishing and corporate waste, but nothing has happened.
Oh, well,
those sound way more important than the fucking plastic straws.
Yeah, nothing's gonna happen with those. Those things are they
those
they
are
have
actual
lobbyists.
Problems. Yeah. What'd you say? What? This?
No.
This?
No.
This?
Yes.
This? Trains. We need trains to combat climate change. That is.
I would like my own train, thank you. But other than that, I'll take a 4x4 vehicle.
I think we need to figure out, like. I think it's gonna need to be like a technological change before. Like, anytime you ask people, like, hey, just pump the brakes on this thing, it's like the answer's gonna be no. You just gotta make a better thing that's more efficient, that does the thing better, or else they're not gonna switch. And I think we're gonna get there.
How long do you think until we have?
Will we get there before the damage is, I mean, the damage might already be too great to ever recover from. But
how long do you think until we have nuclear-powered cars? Like some kind of low-level nuclear radiation that if it were to mess up, it wouldn't be too bad.
I hope soon. I don't know, 50 years? That's kind of the plot of Giant Robo, is that they found a way to make, like... well, actually, it's something that's, like, better than nuclear. It's, like, something that's... basically exactly as you described, like easier to
It's fusion instead of fission.
Probably that's what it was. I don't remember, but yeah, like everything was powered by that technology except for Giant Robo, which is powered by nuclear technology, and that's like a major part of the story is that like he's seen as like this outmoded thing, but it's like, hey, nuclear power is still very good and still a hero, Isn't nuclear energy just steam power?
Yeah, kind of.
Oh. Okay. How do you feel about Oliver these days? I haven't really listened to him in a while.
Oliver Tree?
No, not Oliver Tree. Oliver Francis. He's a hip-hop... well, yeah, like hip-hop, what's the other word I want to use? Not R&B, but like... He
Funk?
does more of like the auto-tuney kind of sing-songy style stuff.
That would be what I would think is R&B. I think.
It's very like, I'm trying to think of a lyric I could actually sing. Now we're sipping on the Grey Goose, getting drunk in the sunroof. That's the lifestyle I'm used to, yeah. So it's like that kind of thing, Sing-song, poppy, rap. That was, honestly, like, I think kind of predicted what, like, Post Malone and Sway Lee were going to start sounding like. And, like, stuff like Sunflower, I think, built on what Oliver was doing. But his production, basically he's a guy who produces all his own stuff, raps all his own stuff, owns all his own stuff. So he's very cool as an independent creator. But, like, I think a lot of more advanced producers have sort of taken that sound and run with it and made it cleaner. So some of his stuff maybe feels a little bit dated now. But I don't know. I haven't kept up really.
Must be clean. I don't know how accurate Nuke Tech and Fallout is, to be honest. I have not played any of the Fallout games.
Haunted Breadstick says, I wish Death Grips would return. It's about time. It's about time. I could use a Death Grips. I could use more.
I would really enjoy it.
I don't know if they ever will, but...
I would really like it if Death Grips was in my area.
That would be sick. I never got to see them live, so it would be really nice if they did more shows. MC Ride's got to be like fucking 50 or something by now, probably. I don't know, maybe 40. I know he was like in his 30s when they first started. So I could easily see them just like not having the energy to do fucking Death Grips all the time. Zach Hill will always have the energy because he's like a human 8-ball. He's like, he is cocaine. He doesn't have to do drugs. He just is drugs. Like he's I think probably Zach Hill has probably the most energy of like any person just based on his drumming. But maybe he's just like chill at all times until he gets on the drums and then just fucking absolutely loses his mind or something. But if you've never seen video of Zach Hill playing drums in handcuffs, highly recommended if you want to see someone just torture their wrists and bleed all over their fucking drum kit like an insane person.
That doesn't sound great.
He's nuts. Giant Robo being nuclear powered is seen as an environmental threat that becomes a necessary evil when an exploit is found in the Shizuma drives. Says Kira. Thank you for reminding me. It's been a long time since I've seen Giant Robo, but I think Bird would like it, so I would like to see it with him. It's like 7 45-minute to an hour-long episodes or something like that. $2 from Kira Lou says, remember to hydrate. Thanks for the reminder.
Hydrate or dihydrate.
Don't have a water on me, but I've got a Diet Coke, if that counts.
It doesn't.
That was the sound of hydration. I haven't even opened this beer.
I'll take it.
I brought just to drink while... Well, I don't
want the beer. I don't have any more.
You drink all your beer?
Yeah, all my beer.
I specifically want this one, so...
Oh, I see.
Here it says, no, get water. Alright, since you gave a $2, I will go get water. And a beer.
Thank you.
But you have to now entertain everybody while I go do that.
I'm about to fight Godric with 2 friends, so that should be, hopefully, entertaining.
Well, you say hopefully, but you have to provide dialogue.
Dialogue. Well, that guy has bloody slat. Oh, right. He's commanding me to kneel. Shit, I forgot he can do that. Godric's such a weird boss. There's apparently another one like him, or rather another grafted person like Godric. His name is like Godfrey or something like that. And he is in Leyndell, I believe, which is the capital city and pretty much the ending area. Maybe not the final area, because there's still the Halig Tree, which is the area where other people are. And I'm not going to say more, because it's kind of spoilery. God, this guy is really... He's a little ball of fury, ain't he? Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord, he coming. Oh, Lord, he coming.
Alright, I'm back. I got water. I got a beer. It's like 20 degrees hotter in here than the rest of the house.
He's bearing us witness. Are you ready to bear witness?
Oh, I love this part. Fucking absolute madman.
That's not even his arm. Come on.
Mopu asks, Bird, how have you changed in the past couple of years? You're still pretty young, yeah?
Yeah, I am.
I don't know if you're younger than Mopu, though. How old are you, Mopu?
I cook more than I used to. I put a lot more effort into my work and am more proud of my work. I have a lot less doubt towards things in life, and I understand how to use my intelligence a lot more than I used to. I also eat more. I, for a long time, was pretty much stuck at about 175, and now
At
I...
6'5".
Yeah, 6'5". So I was technically anorexic. Whatever, who cares?
You weighed like I used to, you know, the old me used to see in videos back when I was portly. I was 185 and 5'8".
Yeah, but now I rock out at around 200, 210, and that's a healthy weight for me. It's nice.
And I am like 140, which is also nice. 140 or less, I should say, is about right. I'm probably under right now, but it's a fluctuation. What is this about someone being an Everjail boss and therefore dubiously canon? I don't think that makes them
Go to
dubiously
free.
canon.
Go to free the grafted. I mean, I don't know. A lot of the Everjail bosses are like actually canon,
They're
and
definitely
the
canon.
people that killed Godwin. I think the implication is just that people like Godric have been in his lineage. Like, Godric didn't just come up with this whole grafting thing. Godric isn't that smart.
No, yeah. I had thought it was implied that it was like a thing that just like lots of people do. Yeah, because I know the one dude, the Bloodhound Knight Darrowil, he in game is contextualized as somebody who Blade is personally after, so you can summon Blade to help you with that fight. And he's like definitely connected to the Lord directly. Why do you sound like a Best Guy Ever ripoff? Somebody asked.
Me?
Are you saying that Bird sounds like a Best Guy Ever ripoff? I don't think you sound anything like him. He has a very recognizable voice and distinct way of talking that I.
Hey guys, Best Guy Ever here. No, I don't even. I haven't seen enough of his videos.
If you want to talk like Best Guy Ever, you need to watch a lot of Seinfeld.
Because I've only seen Seinfeld once.
I was incredibly struck when you were watching Seinfeld, and I was sort of like over your shoulder, you know, here and there. Just like the way Jerry talks is like, oh, this is where Nate got the way he talks from. Like, to me at least, it seemed that way. Like a combination of him and Tobuscus, the YouTuber. I think a lot of his on-screen presentation is very reminiscent of Tobuscus, which I had never known because I had never seen him until you showed him to me, and I was like, "What the fuck? This is literally Nate's shtick." Like,
Tobuscus is problematic though.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, I
well,
don't.
Nate's problematic, so you know it's all.
Why is Nate problematic?
He's always been problematic.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He, you know, everybody I hang out with is problematic. If not because they hang out with me, then because of some other reason that everybody doesn't like me hanging out with them for. I'm sure someone in the chat can tell us.
Yeah, to be clear, I don't care that
problematic.
Tobuscus is problematic. It's just he was canceled and he just kind of stopped making videos. He might be making them now. Being mean to a girlfriend or being very abusive to a girlfriend. I'm uncertain.
I see. Relationship issues. Mopu is 25.
Oh, I'm 22.
I thought you were 23.
No. That happens later this year.
Never mind. Does Bird have a YouTube? Not specifically, right?
What?
Well, you have like an account that you comment with, but you don't have any videos on there.
I think I've uploaded with it.
If you want to see more Bird content, I have we recorded a full Let's Play of the entire original Zelda, of Bird playing it for the first time. That is like 20 hours of recording that I have to cut down to like 2 hours of video, as the first Bird Friends play. And we also did a playthrough of Kirby's Nightmare in Dreamland that was like 2.5 hours long or something like that. I haven't edited those yet, and we also have more Picnic Adventure that I haven't edited yet, which is a channel about us on adventures that basically when I started editing it, I was under the impression that we were going to just like constantly be camping and filming stuff that I would camp. Like I would always be like editing together whatever we just did before doing the next thing. But since we only really ended up doing like one trip and then not anything immediately afterwards, I ended up sitting on that footage. So I still have a bunch of Picnic Adventure to edit. So I guess I would say that my lack of editing has held up bird content from really existing on the internet as much as it should.
That's always what holds back bird content from existing. Well, I shouldn't say I'm always willing, because I'm not.
You just are content. You are human. Everything you do is worthy. It's just about someone else finding a way to turn it into something visible for the rest of the world.
I'll put it this way. I'm not really going to go out of my way to make content out of myself. I'm more than willing to participate if you have an idea.
Yeah. And you are Bird is a very good person to have around as an all-purpose hand on deck for literally anything. Like, any project or job or anything anybody needs, having Bird around makes that thing go smoother and better. So, generally, he's like the ultimate Swiss Army man of stagehandery. I'm
just competent.
Yeah. Hyper competent. That is the phrase I would use to describe you, probably more than anything else. Let's see what the chat is talking about. Nate talks like Dennis from Always Sunny. There's that too.
That's funny.
That's also a big part of it. I think he's probably doing that more deliberately than the Seinfeld angle. Maybe I see more of the Seinfeld because I've known him in person more often, and you know, his reactions to the unreasonableness of
and
other people.
Of course, you know, after every sentence he says, he goes
Never really felt like Gib or Munchie were problematic good folks. What about when Munchie shouted the N-word like 500 times in one video? That wasn't problematic? I guess because he's not all white. Maybe it's not a
I mean, I don't... problem. Everyone is problematic. Everyone's done stuff.
Yeah, everybody's a little bit problematic. That's the Avenue Q.
That song is everyone's a little bit racist.
Yeah, I know, but we need a reboot about how everybody's problematic.
Hey, I didn't die.
I mean, I guess everyone's a little bit racist. Okay. Is basically saying that, but you know, that was also impressive that you didn't die there.
I'm just glad that I'm in Liurnia now. That was the goal. I was just trying to get into Liurnia.
When you see like I watched a speedrunner, and the specific route they took to get down the cliff into Liurnia is like these very obscure, like, jutting outs that like form a path that you'd have to really notice, and I was like, damn, he really got down there quick. So there are ways to get down the cliff sides quickly and stuff, but it's just a matter of finding them.
I just got in. Is this a first playthrough? No. I mean, I don't know if you... I haven't beaten the game.
It's not a first playthrough of this area, no. Definitely not. You have multiple characters that are all...
Oh, fuck, it's these guys. Fuck.
In the midsection of the game.
Oh, these guys are the worst. Alright, let's go steal the key so I don't have to deal with being told I need the key. And then we'll get Renala.
Bird is controlled opposition for the left. Sam Tripoli said so.
He did say something like that. He also called me... I don't remember where he started, but I think he started transgender, walked it back to gay. And that's where he kept it. Sam Tripoli seems funny.
I like this. Anonymous says, everyone has something in their problematic.
Exactly.
That's really good. And yeah, that Munchie was a child when he was doing that stuff, and now he's matured into a more normal dude. That is definitely true. I definitely would say that he's not a problematic person in his current state.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
He's fine. I don't enjoy him, but that's just because he talks to Ben Saint.
Yeah. Never a good move. Never a good thing. Never a good look to have a good...
Yeah, it's just not something any healthy human being should do.
Obama gave everyone the N-word pass, and then Trump turned us all racist. Simple as.
Huh. What did Biden do?
What?
Very good.
Mike Hunt says, internet culture was killed by smartphones and social media. 2006 was the last great year. After that, video games started becoming trash. But the Souls games, but Hidetaka Miyazaki's whole career is post 2006. You can't. Video games only got good after that. I'm curious what games, like why 2006 is the cutoff. Like, what was the last awesome game?
When did Borderlands come out? I think it might make the cutoff.
2008 actually. I think it was 08, but it could be 06. No, because it was a couple years into the PS.
Whoa, these guys are fucked up. Fuck
and
'em.
that came out in 06. Maybe that's what the cutoff is. It's just that generation of consoles, like, just
Whoa.
7th gen just killed it, or 5th. Yeah, 7th gen. Yeah. Borderlands 09.
Oh, dang. The first one? Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Video games peaked with Persona 3. I think that game... I'm not gonna say anything because I need to. I've never like beaten it, but I was watching someone play it a couple years ago, and I really was struck by the feeling that it's like Shin Megami Tensei for teenagers, like that it's somehow like simpler and more straightforward in a way that makes it less interesting than the main series games. But it is more like character focused and story focused. So I think if you really resonate with like the characters and story, that would probably draw you in more. But I guess just the state of mind I was in at the time, I was really not like interested in more like teenage RPG stories. It's like I really need more adult RPG stories. Like Final Fantasy X, even though the characters are like young adults, they have enough history that they feel like, you know, they have like a certain depth and experience and like a real reason to think the way they do and stuff like that. And you know, I need more of that.
B, have you fought any of the land octopi?
I have. They are not hard.
Oh.
They bleed very easily.
I see.
Like, they have a ton of health, but like you smack them 3 times with a bleed weapon and they lose like a third of their health bar.
Nice.
And they drop ovaries.
Nice. I love ovaries.
Which are, because apparently they reproduce using human blood. So, like, they eat humans and then pump the human blood into the ovaries. So you've got, like, a octopus ovary sack full of blood from people. Hey, a site of grace. It's the boiled prawn man's shack.
Oh, wow.
He really likes boiled prawns. The only way you can get him to actually talk to you is if you've talked to the lady who wants the necklace first. And she's further south. No, don't kill him. No, he'll sell you prawns. He can become your friend if he says anybody who likes prawns is you know, can't be bad. But then again, you don't like shrimp in real life, so maybe this is appropriate. Maybe this person's your natural enemy. For me, he's a natural ally as a shrimp lover, prawn fan. Though I've never really had boiled prawns. TBH, it just sounds like you're jealous that Nate seems to have a better grip over his channel and community, and also better voiceover editing, and doesn't shove his gender in your face.
What? What does that mean?
I don't know. What did I say that was jealous of Nate? I wasn't shitting on him
much?
or anything, was I? Was I shitting on Nate?
Nate's fine.
Was I making this is Lugon Z. A better grip over his channel and community. Does he have a community? I guess he does, because he Twitch streams.
Well, sure, but what does that have to do with
really
any...
have a community.
What does that have to do with the price of rice in China?
Yeah, I know. Better voiceover editing and doesn't shove his gender in your face. I think he does shove his gender in your face.
Yeah, he's the
actually
best
more
guy
than
ever.
anybody else on the internet, actually. The entire theme of the channel is that it's a self-parody of being an over-the-top masculine caricature. The narrative arc of which, sadly, was never completed. But, there was originally, a whole narrative behind the best guy ever character, why he exists and what he stands for. That was all meant to be, revealed, but...
That's cute.
It's never really come to fruition.
I don't know, Nate seems fine. He just never really seemed interested in speaking.
Yeah, well, he does his own shit.
Yeah, he does his own thing, and that's fine.
But,
I like talking to people.
I don't know what led to that guy
saying
all those things, but I'm glad to hear that that you like Nate's content. I guess.
Nate makes good content. It's not for me. That's fine.
What is this lake, bro?
This is
what
the
is this take, bro? Never mind. He was talking to that guy. This guy has a chip on his shoulder for real. Lol, just randomly coming into your chat projecting. It was pretty random.
I bet it's Ben Saint.
He's just seething, says Kieran. I don't think Ben Saint would compliment Nate to that extent just for the sake of...
I killed the prawn man.
Why did you kill him?
Because I got stuff. Now I bet I got all of his armor and weapons.
That is actually some pretty cool stuff. And you got the necklace.
What does it do?
If you give it to the lady, then she'll be like, you should come to the Volcano Manor. We'll treat you like family.
What
Kira
necklace?
Lou sent $1.59 and just a salt emoji, a salt shaker, because that guy is salty. That's pretty funny.
I like these fists.
Negent says, Bird has nice boy feet.
You don't know anything about my feet.
Your feet are definitely out there. We do have a whole video about you barefoot hiking.
Sure. Yeah, I guess that's true.
So, yeah, you've got nice boy feet.
Thanks. Pay me money to see him. $500.
You have to become the prawn man.
Raya's necklace.
Ooh, that sells for 1,000.
No, I can buy it from that.
Oh, okay. He would have sold it to you for the same amount. Consoles before the PS3 were external to the human body. Then we became consoles. This is what Dark Souls is about, and why Dark Souls is the last game. That sounds right. GB. Sounds correct to me.
Ugh.
How you feeling?
I'm okay. I was trying to crack my back rope. Oh, that was one.
How long have we been going for?
At
2.5
least 2
hours.
Really? 2.5?
Yeah, thereabouts.
Heck yeah.
Dang, for $500 you'd have to travel over to Texas barefoot and let me clean them.
It would cost you...
It would cost $500
yeah.
just to travel there, yeah.
It would cost you, like, 10 grand minimum.
But you would travel to Texas to let him clean your feet for 10 grand.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay.
10 grand,
seems,
though.
Yeah, I mean, that's more than fair, I think.
What do you think? I'm some kind of low-rent whore?
Low rent foot slut.
Do you collect figurines?
I used to. You can see pretty much any figure I've ever owned was in my older videos. I haven't really bought anything since then. mostly like I don't know. I lost interest in collectibles for the most part. I have been living much more austere style, and most of my stuff is kind of packed away.
You mean Gonzo? You've been living a Gonzo lifestyle.
Gonzo. But yeah, I think a lot of them are cool looking. To me, like the gratification of seeing pictures of the figure online all the time versus seeing it in your house isn't different enough, I guess, to be worth like the $150 difference of experience. So
I'd rather buy 3 video games.
Right, exactly. Well, or just spend money on experiences, not things. Like it's always because like the experience becomes a memory that you reference back forever, whereas the thing is unchanging, and therefore like you might have some memory attached to it, but then you also just have all the dead space of it just being a thing that's there that means nothing, that you know just incidentally see. It's one thing if like if it reminds you of something when you see it, and you know I guess with anime posters and stuff, like the idea is, oh, this stuff all reminds me of like these cool shows I've seen, but to me it just becomes very like tired. It just becomes like, oh, this I've seen this thing every day and I'm just like, you know, numb to it at this point. Kira Lou with $2 says, asking lovingly, but why are your thumbnails so plain?
Hey, you want to make them?
I don't know how to do visual design. I am not a very good graphic artist. I don't really know what I want from my thumbnails because I don't click on videos based on the thumbnail, personally. I almost never am like, unless it's like an interesting phrase or something, I guess, maybe. But for the most part, I watch the stuff I'm subscribed to. And when I'm like trying to find new videos to watch, you know, I'm looking at the title and thumbnail and, you know, like, and length of the video. So I guess it just, for me, I have a hard time imagining like what would make me click on a video, because there's no answer to that question. There are some people who make thumbnails that I think look cool, but I don't know how to achieve the same effect. Mike Hunt with Australian $2 says, too much struggle snuggle in hentai. Why? I think specifically because it's something that can't be real outside of hentai. Like, I used to say to me that, like, when people would ask me why I was into anime porn, that, the appeal...
Big boob.
The appeal of it to me was that it's, for the characters, it's all actually real. And so in that way, it feels more real than it does to look at real-life porn. And, you know, that's not coming from me as a fan of struggle snuggle in particular. It's just a fan more of actually, like, the more romantic stuff where... You know, you'd see like these cutesy relationships where the characters fall in love.
Are they asking you if you're a fan of rappy?
Well, he's not asking if I'm a fan. He's asking why is there so much struggle snuggle in
Rappy.
hentai? Yeah, rappy.
Rappy.
Yeah. Rippity rap rap rip. And so
I mean, that's not like a restricted word, is it?
I don't know.
Me neither. So we'll call it rappy.
But yeah, like, I just think it's the fact that, you know, that within the context, it's not, like, obviously unbelievable. Where, like, when you watch porn, it's like you're looking at two porn stars. You know that none of what they're saying is contextually is real, you know? Whereas for the characters, like, sure, none of this is real at all, but within the universe of the story, the emotions are more sincere, you know? So, I think that has to do with it.
God, Tree Sentinel always makes me lag so bad. Ooh, shit. Torrent, you're okay, bud. I promise.
Dash and Scan asked if I'm into immersive sims because I talk about Dark Souls like it is one. I've never really gotten into one, mostly because I haven't played a whole lot of them. I've listened to fuckloads of analysis of immersive sim games because they tend to inspire a lot of analytical conversation. I played like 10 minutes of the first Deus Ex, and I was like, this is going to take a lot of like you know, a lot of dedication on my part to and like desire to play to want to play. I played like halfway through Human Revolution, which was kind of fun, and then like the only Bioshock I played was Infinite, which I thought sucked completely. I know that like, you know, original Deus Ex and System Shock 2 are like considered the like gods of the genre. There was like Prey more recently. Yeah, I guess I just haven't really played a lot of them. I've been interested in playing Dishonored. I don't know if that one
Dishonored
counts.
looks really cool.
But yeah, and it's like both games are always like $3 on sale. So and in Dishonored 2, you get to play as a cool girl. So you know it's always gonna appeal to me a little bit more. So I think I might try at least to play Dishonored 2. But I don't know.
All right,
Just
horse,
Lexi
run.
says, just beat Godric as my paladin, Chan. Let's go.
Is Paladin the Confessor? I'm uncertain.
I'm not sure.
Maybe it's just a playstyle.
You get pathos on top of the prosaic pleasure of sight. NTR and Ugly Bastard have had some pretty god-tier productions lately. Simon Seishido is up to 6 episodes. Yeah, I'm not interested in those categories, personally. Trixie, what do you think of Hogwarts Legacy? You playing it? Could really deep dive into being a witch.
I have
Watch
played...
the announcement video on stream. It's awesome. It's from Riley.
Well, I have to use the restroom, so what a convenient time.
I have not... I don't know anything about Hogwarts Legacy yet. I have not watched the announcement video.
Is it the Pokemon Go Hogwarts game?
Oh, is that what it is? I don't think so. I think it's like a MMO. He said, state of gameplay reveal. Looks cool. Mint is going to play it because it is a girl thing.
I'm playing it muted because deal with
Sweet
it.
Life
Sorry.
of Dio Brando says it looks lit. I want to know your JK takes.
Oh, it's
and Hogwarts
actually...
takes and
Wait,
take
hang on.
This new game. Thanks, bye. Okay.
It's actually like a not Harry Potter MMO. Like, okay, I might play this then. This is the Harry Potter game I've been waiting for. Absolutely.
Hey, wait, I have...
Hey, wait.
Me.
Too slow.
Wait, no. Not fair. Contemporary hentai seems so artistically bankrupt, though. IDK, maybe I'm out of touch, but IDK SMH.
Can we play this
I think
on
it just
stream?
depends on what
Should
you
I?
look for. Maybe skip around in it? I don't know. Skip around to parts.
Oh, it's 14 minutes long. We definitely can't play all of it, but yeah, okay.
This looks
So it's
like
a PS5 game. It's not real. It doesn't seem like an MMO, but it's like a real star. Oh, this looks like actually Harry Potter, but Dark Souls. I got a little bit of combat there.
I would say it looks more like that God of War game.
Sure.
The new God of War.
It looks
That
interesting.
kid is butt ugly.
Well, that's the main character.
Oh, is it really?
I think so. You get a hippogriff mount. That's cool. All right, enough of that. Back to footage I
I
can
don't know.
play.
It looks all right. I am not a huge Harry Potter
Have you
fan.
read them?
I read. Okay, so I was in 3rd grade. I was 8 years old. Someone in my class had read Harry Potter and liked it, so I read it, and I was like, that was pretty good. I liked that Harry wore glasses because I wore glasses.
I'll go to
so
the bathroom in a second.
That was relatable. Commanding you to go to the bathroom.
My kidneys are kidneys of iron.
So I read the first book, and then I read the second book, and I remember thinking it was pretty much the exact same. Like, it felt like very formulaic because it kind of
Okay,
was almost
hang
the
on.
same
So
story
the first
twice.
book is Sorcerer's Stone.
Yeah.
The second book is Chamber of Secrets.
Yes.
Okay, sure.
And they both evolve in kind of the same way. So in the third book is where they started getting longer and more plot driven, and I got like a third of the way into that book, and I just couldn't concentrate. I just didn't give a fuck about what was happening. Hermione was being a cunt.
She
and
always
I
is.
didn't like it, and well, in that book she's like particularly because that's the book where she's like using time magic to do like everything at once, And so until everybody understands this, they all just think she's just being a bitch, and that's kind of how the book presents it. And yeah, I don't know. It was annoying, and I didn't like it anymore. Then the movie started coming out, and I missed the first one while it was in theaters. And I was always a big contrarian as a kid, so when it got popular, then I was like, oh, well, now I'm not allowed. Like, now I'm not interested in trying to like it, because everyone likes it. But once the movies were over, I marathoned all of them, and I thought they were pretty good. The later ones. The third one, the sixth one, the eighth one. Those were the ones I liked. I thought the fourth and fifth were shit. The first and second are just okay. The seventh is just like set up for the eighth. And that's it. That's pretty much my thoughts on Harry Potter. It's all right. Even when I was a kid, I remember thinking it felt generic. Like, it had some neat ideas in terms of like specific magic items, like the invisibility cloaks and moving paintings and all that kind of stuff. But like, the overall tone of it is almost deliberately like just cobbled together of stuff that you can see in many other places. And obviously it's now been ripped off to death, so it feels even less original than at the time. So like, to me it's always been kind of a weird, like, why this universe? Like, why are people so attached to, of all like versions of fantasy high school or whatever, like, why Harry Potter? Other than that, it's just so popular and with so many people's first exposure, which I guess is the answer. I mean, I guess I feel the same way about like Lord of the Rings. Like, why did this get ripped off so heavily for all time? You know, and not something a little bit more interesting. But it is what it is. Mike Hunt with Australian $5. All the side characters in Harry Potter are more interesting because the hero of the book is the reader. That's why Harry has no personality. That's true. That makes sense. I think, I think maybe as a kid I wasn't prepared to appreciate the stuff that's interesting about the other characters because the story is so much from Harry's perspective, and that, like, I don't know, maybe I was just diverging from him by that age. It really was like a feeling when I was reading the third book of just like, I really don't care. Like, I was really struggling to become engaged with the story in that book in the early part. Just because, like, the formula at that point was, like, each book is about 80% of just, like, slice of life, and then the last 20% is mysteries being resolved and stuff happening. I didn't want to have to wait all the way to the end of the book. As for my takes on J.K. Rowling, I don't understand why she, like... No, I do understand. I get it. I obviously I don't agree with her politics. So I don't really care how it affects Harry Potter. It doesn't change my impression of Harry Potter in any way, shape, or form. Whatever J.K. Rowling thinks or says about the story, like, it's as basic as I ever thought it was. It's from as limited a perspective as I ever thought it was. I don't think... I never had any expectation that the creator of Harry Potter was going to be, like, some incredible, wise fucking person to turn to with opinions about society. So, I'm not too surprised that she would say a bunch of dumb stuff. I'm not too surprised that she would get indignant about why she's allowed to say that dumb stuff. But ultimately, like, I can't defend anything she's said or done, And so, yeah, I would say, to me, it's just kind of like a thing that I'm familiar enough with to be like, oh yeah, I know Harry Potter. But, like, beyond that level, it's just... It doesn't do anything to me emotionally. It's not a story that I connect with in any particular way beyond, like, vague intrigue and some of the magic,
Okay, I've got a question for you and also the chat. What are the 3 forbidden curses in Harry Potter?
And infinite shit.
Interesting.
Big Booba
No.
attack.
I like where you're going, but neither of these are correct. You've got to get one at least, right? Because it's what gave Harry Potter the scar.
Oh, Expecto Patronum. That's where that's where you drink Patron and you expect some shit to happen.
That is what happened. So, how Harry Potter got the lightning scar actually is that his parents, I believe James and Lily Potter, they were up all night drinking Patron with Voldemort, and they accused Voldemort of shorting them on a drug deal. And Voldemort naturally got upset because he's a noble man. He wouldn't even dare. And so naturally he used the first of the killing curses, which is Avada Kedavra. And then of course there are Neville Longbottom's parents, and it was Crucio, and that's the torture curse.
So wait, the spell is you kill somebody by saying
Avada Kedavra.
I want a cadaver.
Avada Kedavra. What do you mean Avada? What does Avada mean? What do you mean?
I wanna cadaver.
No, Avada. A-V-A-D-A. Avada Kedavra. Then there's Crucio, the torture curse, and then I believe the other one's Imperio, but I could be wrong, and it's the brainwash curse.
Mike Hunt says the 3 forbidden curses are lolicon, pegging, and voting.
Those are good ones as well.
Partisar says killing curse, torture curse, smoking weed.
Based. I'm sorry, sludge.
That is deeply sludge. I've decided that now when things are cool, I say they're sludge. Because sludge goes deep and hard. More so than any other genre of music. It's the deepest and the hardest. And it's pretty fucking sludge. Just like what's in my lungs. They won't look ugly. It lets you dive into Pokemon, Magical Beast Taming, or Dark Souls, Wizard War stuff.
I mean, it looks fun.
You can do the school sim thing. It's like Persona meets Lord of the Rings. What's that? The Shadows of Mordor.
Is that
Meets
what's
Pokemon.
the third one? Pokemon. Hey, how are we feeling about Pokemon Legends Arceus? Because I'm enjoying it. It's a whole lot of fun. And also, what other Switch games are we enjoying? Because B and I, we want to play games together, you know? We're trying to do a little Mario Karting, but we don't want to pay $60 for a Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Though, oh god, Jesus Christ, this fucking lobster.
There's a lot of really cool,
what the fuck?
The Switch has a lot of really interesting inventive games, and with inventive games, you always look at it and you go like, man, I really hope this is fun, because if it is fun, then we'll have a good time. But like, you can't tell just by looking at it. Like, you look at the game and you go, that looks like it could possibly be fun, but it also looks like it could be a frustrating pain in the ass, or just like kind of, get tiring after a minute. And so like, it can be hard to determine what games are going to click with you and make you want to like keep playing it for more than a trial. Which is why the reason that I, tied myself to something like doing a long-ass Elden Ring series is that, like, this is the first video game I've played in years that I felt the sense like, oh, I want to keep playing this game
for a long time.
As long as possible. Like, I don't need another video game. This is the only one I need.
Guys, I'm only going to say the name of a spoiler. It won't be anything other than that, so this is your warning. I cannot wait until we get a Mikola DLC. I'm just so excited.
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
This game, like, was a big relief for me when you finally got it and we started playing it. Because, like, I struggle with the fact that, like, basically my hobbies and my job are the same thing. And it's really hard for me to indulge in anything without trying to turn it into work, because like, you know, it's one thing if I like watch a movie and I'm like, maybe I'll have something to say or maybe I won't, whatever, and then you come out the other side just like, all right, I feel enriched by the experience, or maybe I know more about the director or filmmaking or something. When it comes to video games, it's such a different world from like film and animation that like if I just play a game and I don't talk about it, I don't stream it, I don't do anything regarding the game, then it feels like that time was truly, like, you know, just for me. Like, it was just truly self-indulgent. And I don't have, like, any games that I feel so strongly about the need to play that I feel like I'm willing to take time away from work to do that. You know what I mean? So, like, it's one thing if I can make it feel like, okay, you know, this hobby is also profiting me somehow, but like in order to make that the case, you'd have to have a strong enough relationship with the game in order to like have something interesting to say about it, you know? And that's kind of where I've always been stuck at, is like I want to play video games and I want to justify playing video games by making videos talking about those games, but I have to really be into the game to have something interesting to say about it. This game is the only one that like ticks every box of like I'm deeply involved, you know, on like a human level with the history of this game. I know the franchise that it springs from. I know about the creator. You know, I know I want to play the game for hours and hours and hours, and I know I have things to say about it. So it's like, yes, thank God, and it also didn't feel like a rush, which is extremely rare, because like the world of games journalism in particular is really rough about trying to get stuff out quick. Like, you want to be the review that's out before the game is out, preferably, or day one if you can, or as early as possible if you can, because everybody's going to be looking up reviews that day. And like, when it comes to the in-depth, more analytical videos, those are only going to be successful if, again, you're either already a successful channel or you're saying something really interesting and really new, and then that's going to require you to, again, know the thing super in-depth beyond the level of, you know, what's already been said in that first week. So, yeah, like, there's just never been another game I felt intensely about enough that I felt like I'd be willing to fight through everything that's holding me back from playing and talking about video games in order to do it. But it means that, like, I don't have to worry about that anymore. Like, figuring out what game is the game I can play. It's here. It's now. It's in front of me. It's a relief. Anyway, let's look back through the chat that I haven't been reading. It looks cool. I hope more franchises get games to save them, because the last trilogy of Fantastic Beasts movies sucked. Still waiting for a proper DC RPG because the MMORPG was meh. Mike Hunt says, I want J.K. Rowling to go full heel. Harry becomes a white supremacist. That would be funny. Riley says, maybe more Marvel will win there too. She should have Voldemort transition into a girl and come back. Some last Horcrux. That'll show her fans. Mikella DLC would be fire. Would make sense too. Let's see.
Or, you know, this is a slightly bigger spoiler, but if you don't know about it, you won't understand. Rykard is immortal, so even after you kill him, he will come back. We just don't know when. And that's, you know, maybe we could get something out of him. Maybe he has a new form. That'd be interesting.
So to UG LTK says, you can always be that guy who makes 7-hour video essays. I mean...
Who's going to watch it?
Like, well, okay, somebody will.
Okay.
But again, it comes down to anything that's worth doing a 7-hour essay on, someone probably is already doing it because they care about it more than I do. And like, my series on Elden Ring will be a lot longer than 7 hours.
Your Asteriscore series.
My what? Asteriscore? That was 4 hours.
Oh, okay. That's still pretty long.
But yeah, like, I am the person who makes the super long videos. I was one of the pioneers of the super long video as a concept, in this analysis sphere. But like, when it comes to making stuff that long, it's like you really want to choose a subject matter that's going to be, it's going to stay interesting for that long. And like, there are a lot of video games that I think that's true of. I've watched plenty of Noah Caldwell-Gervais deep dives on gaming franchises that are, that are like that. But again, you have to care about it that much and also be like original and interesting. And like, Mass Effect is a series that I could have seen doing that with. Noah Caldwell-Gervais has a 3.5-hour Mass Effect analysis that like, does it say everything I would have said? No. But is it completely satisfying? Yes. So like, I don't really feel a need to do that when it already exists. And like, Elden Ring is the only game that I can see, like, yeah, I'm going to write more than 7 hours about this game by the time I'm done with it. And it will all be original, because it'll be a totally different experience that I had from anybody else playing the game, and the stuff I fixate on is really different. So, like, I think unquestionably it will stay interesting for me. It's just a matter of getting people to watch it. I hope people watch my Elden Ring videos, because I could talk about this game for months. I think it was a Game Ranks guy said that he got sick trying to beat Final Fantasy VII R in time for a review. That's brutal. Yeah, the whole like scene of fucking game reviews is whack. And there's people now who are finding ways to do really unique stuff, and like I found out through watching Hazel about Thor High Heels, who makes really cool gaming videos, similar in style to Hazel in that like it follows a train of thought usually, so it'll be like mysterious PS1 games, and then just a video about like a bunch of really weird, interesting PS1 games that no one's ever talked about, and like it's not about being a comprehensive review or analysis or whatever, but just like looking into it, picking out what's interesting about it, and sharing it, And I really like that kind of content and that kind of context created to talk about a bunch of obscure shit in a way that people will listen to, because it's not like, it doesn't feel like the video's about specifically any of that shit, but about collectively how it all creates this like particular tone that you're noticing, like the connection there, So like, I think stuff like that is a healthier approach to doing, this type of journalism than like tasking yourself to try to beat a game in 7 days to write a consumer review when no consumer is going to beat the game in 7 days like that. It just doesn't make sense to create a culture of reviewing games based on a play style that gamers don't play. I love Dark Souls and Sekiro. Can't get Elden Ring right now, though. Do you think I will enjoy it?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not going to be able to say whether I like this game more than the other ones until I have beat it, but like, the way that the gameplay is formulated in this game is my favorite so far. Like, I guess I'd have to review it as like an overall experience before I could say for sure. But I've been playing this game for longer than I played any of those ones, and I'm less than halfway through. I'm like 40 hours into this game, and I am less than halfway through this game. So it is way the fuck bigger than in terms of like time investment than any of the other From Software games, for sure. I guess it doesn't have to be, because I'm definitely doing more in this game than I would have in those ones. I've been a little bit braver because the game's a little bit easier. It does kind of make me want to go back and see if I would be better at the other games or worse after playing this one. Like, will it leave you unprepared or will it get you ready? Wish I had a PS5 so I could play Demon's Souls Remastered. is multiplayer, it's, you know, the
It's
game
good.
is very similar to the other games, aside from the structure of the world and it being all open, and it has a lot of like quality of life adjustments to make things easier and more expressive. So, but yeah, for the most part, it functions pretty similarly to the other games. So you'll know what to expect. I'm starting to wind down. We're almost at 3 hours. And the chat has gotten slow. If anybody has anything they want to say or anything they want me to rant about, get your super chats in now. Before we call it a night.
Well, it's already a night. It's 8 o'clock.
God damn. What are we gonna have for dinner?
Food.
Do you wanna tell our audience what kind of sick foods we've got to make tonight?
We have so much steak.
Lots and lots of steak.
Is
that what we're having?
We're probably just gonna have curry. We had curry last night. We've got a lot of it left over. Probably gonna have some curry.
Leftover curry.
Curry good.
Although you did say you were gonna give a bunch of it away.
I did say that, but not all of it.
Curry. How do you feel about your curry?
It's good.
What all did you put in the curry last night? Because it was a very complicated curry.
I toasted garam masala, a spicy curry powder, I think by McCormick. No, not McCormick. Spice Islands. Coriander in coconut oil. I fried it in coconut oil. I added garlic and ginger. Big sweet onion. Coconut milk, which is kind of more like a paste in the form I get it for some reason. A 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. A bunch of yogurt. Some apple cider vinegar.
What was it was Indian.
It's from Costco. You can get it. It's called Dahi Indian style yogurt, and I threw it in there. Bunch of chicken. I think it was 3 breasts, so maybe 2 pounds. About 2 bell peppers, and a anise or fennel. Which is, we got the whole thing, so it's like the bulb and the fronds that taste like black licorice, and I just cut it up. It was a little old, so I only used the good part, and we didn't really have any fronds to use, but usually I'll use the fronds for a garnish. And it was pretty good.
Did you say the chipotle?
Oh yeah, I used chipotle too. I also put peanut butter and dark chocolate in
sriracha.
it. And sriracha.
And peanut butter.
I said that.
And did you say the other one?
What other one?
I don't know. We got a couple super chats. Kira Lou with $5. What's your skincare routine and favorite makeups? Also, thanks again. Had fun. I do not have a skincare routine because I don't go anywhere, so I don't do a lot of beauty care. But when I do, it's usually just like foundation, eyeliner, eyeshadow. Well, not eyeshadow. I meant mascara. I don't do this a lot. I basically only learned about makeup at all like a year and a half ago, and for the most part, it's kind of more of a pain than it's worth to me. It helps that I naturally have pretty good skin, and like I kind of look like I'm wearing makeup naturally, like just because I have really long eyelashes and really red lips. So like, I would bet there's probably people who have thought I was wearing makeup in plenty of videos where I was not. But yeah, like I don't really put it on much. So aside from like eyeliner and mascara, I can't even really say I have an opinion on makeup. Unfortunately, I'd like to learn more about it. I've never had a good coach. I used to date someone who tried to teach me about makeup, but I got the impression from learning from them that they didn't know about makeup. So that was not
hey,
very
first
helpful.
things first. The best makeup is stolen from Target.
And 4 years old and never updated, and you don't know how to use it. Like, yeah, I just didn't have a coach really, so You know, if I had somebody who, like, if there was somebody who themselves was like a makeup artist who wanted to use my face as a canvas, I would be excited to let them. I am not interested in the art craft of doing makeup, and like, therefore it's not exciting to me. It's like, to me, it's like there has to be either a plug and play, just like this will make you look generically better, and I don't really know what that means. Like, I don't know how to achieve that because I don't have like a strong sense of what makeup would look good on me naturally. But like, the more interesting approach is like doing makeup because there's something specific you're trying to like express or go for, and I don't have those kinds of ideas. I don't have like the knowledge of the medium to you know, to know how to fuck with it, basically. To me, I look at makeup and I'm like, this is like trying to get into drawing, you know, like it's a whole thing that you're trying to interest yourself in, and obviously most people know just enough to get by and like develop one look and kind of stick to it, and that's not really my way of life.
Alrighty then.
And then Mike Hunt with Australian $2. Not enough big melon representation in new games.
There is good big melon representation in this game, actually.
Kira says, no, skincare is most important. I mean, I believe it. I've heard many things about the importance of skincare. I'm sure I'll care a lot more about it once my facial hair has actually all been lasered off and there's like something to put makeup on. Because as it stands, like, my face doesn't get completely shaved. It's not possible. My hair is too dark and my skin is too light. Like, you can tell that there's something there even when it's fully shaved. So like, to me, adding makeup, it doesn't, or I guess you would have to use a lot of it to obscure the, like, where the line is between the facial hair and my face, and I can't afford that, nor do I know how really to do that. So, you know, it's hard for me to be in the mindset of even thinking about taking care of the face when it's so incomplete, you know. Pokemon Stadium melons. I just draw on some eyebrows every morning because otherwise I don't really have it. Learning to do full makeup really is literally like learning painting. The canvas is just your head. Yep. Will you still have the beard shadow if it gets lasered off? No. And if it's disappearing in my cheeks, like, there's places where there's just, like, the hair is dead. It's not coming back. So, yeah, that'd be exciting. Alright, I think we're pretty much done. I think we're good. We made $50 tonight.
That's $50.
Thank you to everybody who donated, who gave us super chats. It's appreciated. This game is really fun. And I'll probably be playing it later tonight. Or not. I don't know. I'm a little tired.
Hi, a little tired. I'm Bird.
Wow. Goodbye, everybody. Oh, Parasar with 420. Thank you. I needed that.
Goodbye, everybody. We've got to go. Gotta leave you all behind and face the truth. Check out ASC Presents.